Local news, traffic, and weather for Ottawa and the Valley. This is City News 1011 everywhere.
It's Monday, October 17th. Good morning. I am Damilola Unime. Right now in Ottawa and in Smiths Falls, it is raining and 7 degrees. And here's what's making news in Ottawa and the Valley. The search is on for Ottawa's next police chief, and there is some speculation that City Council should make the decision. But one mayoral candidate says it doesn't work that way. City News reporter Perushka Gopokista has more.
Mark Sutcliffe says the process to hire a new chief falls on the responsibility of the Ottawa Police Services Board and not on City Council. But he tells City News that if the board chooses to wait until after the election next Monday, that could further delay the process.
But I don't think it's as easy as just saying they should wait, because we don't want to delay the process any further, and we don't want to politicize the process by making it about politics. It's not a political appointment. It's an appointment of the Police Services Board.
Now he adds that he respects the work that's being done by the board and says that he's also willing to work with the new chief when the time comes. Other mayoral candidates Catherine McKenney and Bob Shorey both say the decision to hire the new police chief should be done after the election. Perushka Gopalkista, City News.
City News time is 10:01. Polls are now open for residents in Mississippi Mills to cast their vote in the municipal election. Advance voting kicks off this hour. If you're eligible to vote out there, remember there are no paper ballots. You can only vote by telephone or via the internet. Polls will remain open 24 hours daily until next Monday at 8 p.m. With the weather forecast for Ottawa and the Valley, here is City News meteorologist Jill Taylor.
Grab the umbrella as you step out the door this morning. You'll need it at times. A cloudy day with the periods of light rain, 11 for the guaranteed high. Some more showers at times tonight will dip to 3 for the low, and tomorrow cloudy showers and the high about 10 degrees. For today, the guaranteed high, 11.
City News time, 10:02. It's day 3 of the Emergencies Act inquiry on Parliament Hill. City News reporter Alex Bloomfield has a preview.
Center stage this week, municipal officials. Ottawa's city manager expected to speak today. Outgoing Mayor of Ottawa, Jim Watson, and his chief of staff and local police leaders later in the week. Ottawa officials were involved in failed negotiations with convoy leaders to end the protests before the federal government invoked the Emergencies Act, a measure that allowed police to mobilize more support and freeze bank accounts. The Commission heard brief position statements from the federal government, provincial officials, police, and convoy protest leaders on the merit of that decision last week. Testimonies expected to last 6 weeks from over 60 witnesses, including the Prime Minister. Alex Bloomfield, City News.
And talks between the province and the union representing thousands of education workers are expected to resume today, hoping to avoid a potential strike. City News reporter Laura Carney has that story.
The two sides are set to return to the bargaining table for the next 3 days with the help of a mediator, William Kaplan, who also helped these two sides reach an agreement in 2019. CUPE represents 55,000 education workers, including librarians, custodians, and early childhood educators. Union spokesperson Laura Walton says their demands include an annual wage increase of $3.25 an hour to help cover the impact of inflation.
We want to reach a negotiated agreement that will guarantee service improvements for students, help solve school boards' problems, hiring and keeping qualified employees, and secure a significant wage increase for the lowest paid frontline education workers.
The Ford government is proposing a 4-year deal that includes raises of 2% a year for education workers who make less than $40,000 and a 1.25% increase for everyone outside that bracket. Laura Carney, City News.
I am Damilola Unime. And for news anytime, follow up online at ottawa.citynews.ca.
This is City News.
CIWW 1310 AM in Ottawa
And CJET 1011 FM in Smiths Falls and the Valley. Connecting you and your community. This is the Sam Laprade Show on City News
1011 FM and 1310 AM.
Well, thank you so much for joining us here on City News and, of course, on Rogers TV as well. We're so happy to be here on our big kickoff day of our new time slot. We look forward to spending this time with you right through to 1 o'clock this afternoon, and that will be every single day. Certainly a big day here at City News. We have lots of great guests for you today. Michelle Groulx is going to join us today. Of course, she's from OCOBIA. We're going to be doing something a little bit different. From 12:30 to 1 o'clock, it's going to be the business lunch. We're going to talk all things business, and then we're going to have lunch with Sam. And this is where, between 12 and 12:30, we're going to be inviting in a couple of people from the community to debate the top 5 issues of the day. You can imagine what they are today. We're going to be speaking with Jody Mitic and Alyson a little bit later. Sheen is going to join us, as well as Sonya Shorey, about a new initiative that they're undertaking. I don't know if you heard the big news. Jeff Hunt is going to join us from Athletico. They had a big win out in Victoria. We're going to be talking with Jeff Hunt about that. Bruce Linton is going to join us as well. He is, of course, former Canopy CEO. He's going to be talking about the anniversary of pot legalization today. And we're going to be heading to Ward 9. James Dean is going to join us today. We're going to learn all about James and what's on his platform. We're also going to speak with Catherine McKenney. Of course, they are running for mayor. 1 week to go. 1 week from today is the big day. We're also going to talk about the testimony that they gave at the Emergencies Act inquiry. Lots for you today. We're so happy that you're joining us. Right now, I'd like to welcome to the show Leslie Scott. Hi, Leslie.
Hi, Sam. How are you?
Good, Leslie. It's so great to spend time with you. And of course, from the Distress Centre of Ottawa, you're in charge of media, marketing, communications, but you're also in charge of this big 50-50.
Yeah, so we're really excited. We launched our second 50-50 cash lottery a couple weeks ago. So this is to replace some in-person events that we haven't been able to have because of COVID restrictions, and that we're just not quite at the point yet where we're going to have a 300 sit-down kind of person dinner. So yeah, we've got our online 50-50 running right now, and we could use the community's help for this.
Absolutely. So people can get tickets, which is such an important point. But all the money, Leslie, let's talk about where those funds go, because this really is an important time for the Distress Centre. I know we spoke over the last couple of years about how your numbers just keep going up and up and up.
Yeah, so COVID obviously was really hard on a lot of people's mental health, a lot of people's mental well-being, and our call volume, our text and chat, everything increased. We're sort of seeing it stabilize a little bit now, which is nice to see, but there's a lot of people that are struggling, whether it's because of COVID restrictions, losing their job or having to make ends meet in a different way because of inflation, due to, shortages and whatnot. It's just a really trying time for a lot of people, and it just means that our services are in higher demand than ever.
Mm-hmm. And what are people calling about, Leslie, at this time? Obviously the pandemic, and I'm assuming financial challenges as well, like you talked about. But what else are we hearing?
There's a lot of people with anxiety going into the fall and winter. Depression is a big one right now when the leaves are falling and the days are shorter in terms of sunlight. There's a lot of anxiety and depression that kicks up with seasonal affective disorder at this time of year. So we see a lot of that. We hear a lot of that. And then there's a lot of people that are just still not doing well from the pandemic. They just haven't recovered in terms of how it affected their mental health. And they're reaching out for help, which is great, and we want to be able to be there to support them. So these funds help us answer those calls, answer those text and chat messages.
Mm-hmm. And I know your volunteers are really the heart of your organization, Leslie. And we talked a few weeks ago. We were trying to inspire some people here at City News to jump on board and become part of this organization. Where are we at with the number of volunteers you still need?
We still need volunteers all the time. Our commitment is 1 year. So you can imagine that some people do their 1 year and say, thank you, it's been a great experience, I'm going to see myself out now. Otherwise, we have people that have been there for 5, 10, 15 years. But we always have this sort of revolving door in a sense that we need to replace the volunteers that do finish their commitment and decide to leave. So constantly we're looking for volunteers, and our applications have been low this fall. So we do need volunteers to join our ranks for sure.
And Leslie, are people doing this work from their home, or are they going to a main location?
Currently, we're in a hybrid situation. During the pandemic, we were all remote. which was interesting for us all. We actually have volunteers right now that have never seen the inside of the distress center call center. Wow. So it's quite different, but we are doing more hybrid now. Our training is back in person, so our volunteers are coming back on site slowly but surely.
And, I think the point we always try to make every single time we speak, Leslie, because there is so much going on in the world. And of course, I work in news, so we do hear, the tragedies of the world and locally. What would you say to somebody right now who maybe feels a bit alone? And when I say alone, you can be surrounded by people and feel absolutely alone, Leslie.
Yeah, I mean, there's always support somewhere. And I think that's what the key message for people is there's always support somewhere. And the great thing about the distress center is that we are 24/7. So that if it's 3 o'clock in the morning and your anxiety is reeling and you can't sleep and you've got too much on your mind, you can pick up the phone, you can call us, and somebody is going to be there to answer your call. So you just have to remember that there's always support somewhere in the world, and we are one of those places.
Absolutely, so important. Distress Center of Ottawa. So we're talking today, about obviously reaching out, and that text option I think was brilliant, especially during the pandemic. I think that was a really nice addition that you added. How can we support through this 50/50? How can we get tickets?
So tickets are online through our website. You can go to www.bcottawa.on.ca. There's going to be a little pop-up that comes up on your screen. If you click that, it's going to take you to our raffle. And you can buy your tickets there. They're three tickets for $10, 10 for $20, or 40 for $40. We have 15 days left of the raffle draw, and currently the jackpot is just over $1,100, I'm seeing. But we want to see that number really increase because the money that we bring in is going to support us, and we want to see somebody win big too. So it's a win-win for everyone.
Well, I feel that you've inspired people on Rogers TV and City News today, Leslie, to support, and we know how hard all of you work. Keep up the great work, okay?
Thank you, Sam. Appreciate it.
Leslie Scott is the manager of media, marketing, and communications for the Distress Center of Ottawa. And what I love about there is, you call and they listen, right? And they've got all these resources as well, 4,000 resources. I know Leslie's told me on other occasions that they can connect you to. So there definitely is lots to look forward to. Just after the 10:30 news, Catherine McKenney is going to be joining us. They're going to be talking about not only 1 week to a big election day, but also the testimony they gave at the inquiry. Stay with us here on City News.
Sam Laprade will be right back on City News.
101.1 FM and 1310 AM.
Play 4 games of bingo from the comfort of your own home each Monday at 7 p.m. for your chance to win money from our $2,000 regular bingo or $5,000 super bingo night. Kiwanis TV Bingo Mondays at 7 p.m. on Rogers TV.
It was our 35th anniversary. To celebrate, we were on our way to Mama Rosie's, where we had our first date. That's when we heard coming from the radio. So we stopped and listened. It helped us get to safety. So when I think of our anniversary, because now we have even more to celebrate.
Heartbeat of Mother Earth, I feel you and embrace your warmth. I see you dancing through the trees. Your song floats on the summer breeze. Community, we come together. We are the voice of our ancestors. Thankful for how much you bless us. Feel the thunder in the drum. All our voices sing as one. Feel the power, feel the pride. Feel the drumbeat deep inside. Feel the boom, feel the bass. Let's let go of time and space. It'll make you dance, it'll make you sing. Ode Wegun, Wedok Wishin. The drum will lead you, take you far. Always remember who you are.
I'm Sahai from The Wiggles, and this is my new book, Something in Common. Join me on an adventure as a camp counsellor helping some amazing children make friends and share what family means to them. I wrote this book with my friends at Children's Aid Foundation of Canada to help children who might feel lonely or like they don't belong. Not everyone has the same type of family, but we all have something in common. Download Something in Common for free.
Hello, I'm Jim Deeks, host of Canada Files. I hope you'll join me each week for interesting and informative discussions with some of Canada's most impressive people.
My name is Joel Tamas, this is Red Heaven, and we are going to be playing the Encore concert here in Ottawa. I got goosebumps just looking at like the lighting and the sound, and like it's very exciting to show up at a place like Shankman.
The Sam Laprade Show continues on City News.
101.1 FM and 1310 AM.
And we're so happy to be back with you, of course, on Rogers TV and City News. It's wonderful to be with you today. It's our new time slot. We're so excited. And of course, you know, you can wake up with Rob Snow every day between 6 and 9 a.m., every weekday, that is. And then, of course, 9 to 10 a.m., David Smith, our very own David Smith, host and producer, will be joining you to take your calls. To the Talkback Hour is still alive, everyone, between 9 and 10. Right now, we're going to join Danielle McDonald, CEO of the Ottawa Public Library. Hi, Danielle.
Good morning, Sam.
Danielle, we know there's some exciting things coming for the Ottawa Library, but there's an exciting month, of course. This is Library Month. Tell us a little bit about what that means for the City of Ottawa.
Sure, thank you. Well, October is indeed a very exciting time of year for us, and this is typically when we have our Library Month. And it's really, you know, it's an opportunity for the library to raise awareness of our commitment to our community, inclusion, and the role and the impact we have. You know, to tell us a bit about what we do. It's our chance to do that, but it's also our chance to express our thanks for you as people that use the library. And this year, we're going to be highlighting a very important role, countering misinformation and disinformation, and what we're going to do to support information literacy skills. So what we're going to do is we have a campaign, and it's called Read Between the Lines. And it really helps us with the understanding in knowing the difference between misinformation and disinformation. And so misinformation really is that incorrect, incomplete, or vague information we get. And disinformation is really more false information, stuff that's done on purpose. And we have some great pieces on our website that I encourage people to check. And you'll get some examples of various websites that you can use to help counter misinformation and disinformation.
Boy, the timing's great. The timing's great on that, Danielle. I think this is, you know, it's the perfect opportunity to do that kind of theme for sure.
It is. You know, you're right about that. We hear so much about that. And this is our chance to help you in the community do that, because you'd be surprised at how many people may not realize that some of the information out there isn't as accurate as it could be. And what a wonderful role for our library to provide. You know, I mentioned to you as well that you can go onto the website and you'll see things, various sites, and they're actually listed there specifically. And there are various programs you can get into this week that will talk about that. So I think this is a great opportunity for people to avail themselves of the services of the library.
Absolutely.
I also mentioned that, you know, it's our chance to say thanks to you as a customer. So we use this opportunity to connect with customers, and often we've given out different things. But this year in Library Month, active card holders and customers who engage in the conversation about information literacy and participate in our monthly activities for Library Month can be able to win a limited edition thinking cap, and it'll have Read Between the Lines on it. And we also have a program whereby new card holders who sign up for a library card, they will have a chance to be rewarded with a locally made fanny pack or the book bags. And I've used the book bags before. They're really helpful when you're carting all your material out. And they can pick up their card at any branch. And when they refer somebody to, they're also eligible. So this is a great opportunity for us to give back, but also for us to help you in terms of what you need from your library.
Absolutely. It always breaks my heart, Danielle, when, especially around election time where people are like, why are we making such an investment into libraries? And I know certainly my daughter's going on 15. The library's been a real core part of parenting, a really core part of things that I've done with my daughter over the years. And now she takes the bus to the library by herself, Danielle. And I just think that those opportunities to create those lifelong readers, we don't want the library to go anywhere.
Well, you would totally get my endorsement on that. And, I don't know if you know, Sam, but these are my last 2 weeks. I'm retiring.
Oh, I didn't know that. So
yeah, so after almost 10 years in this job and 35 years working in municipal government, it's my time to turn it over to a new leader. And she'll be starting October 31st, and I know she will take up the charge where I've left off and continue to promote library, because every year, every October, we promote the library. But I am delighted that your daughter uses the library, and what a great opportunity to have people be lifelong readers. For me, I can tell you that's what I'll be doing in retirement for sure.
Well, we certainly appreciate everything you've done. Danielle, who's your new CEO?
Her name is Sonya Bebbington.
Excellent. Well, we'll get to know.
She comes from the Library of Parliament, so I'm hopeful that you'll get to know her as well.
Oh, absolutely, we will. We're big fans. So thanks for all you've done. You're the public service, and we know we'll find you at the library, Danielle. So that's great.
You will.
That's awesome. Thanks so much for your time today.
Thank you, Sam.
Danielle McDonald joining us, CEO of the Ottawa Public Library. Danielle was just saying she's only got 2 weeks left, and we have a brand new CEO of the library. So lots of exciting opportunities coming up in terms of the library. We've got that new library being built. So definitely an important time in our city. Okay, so last Saturday, not this Saturday, but a couple weeks ago, I decided to go visit the rink in Canada, the Jack Chanel rink, and see the capital city Condors play their game. And I've got to tell you, it was eye-opening and heartwarming. And Andrew Wilson joins me now. Hi, Andrew.
Hi, Sam.
Andrew is a volunteer with the Condors, and Andrew and I met that day at Jack Chanel, and we were watching these incredible kids enjoy hockey like everybody should, right, Andrew?
Absolutely. Such an amazing experience.
Absolutely. So tell me a little bit about yourself. What do you do during the day, and then how do you spend your weekends with the Condors?
Well, during the day, I do boring stuff like being a lawyer. I've been practicing law in Mitic for about 20-some years. Was in Toronto prior to that, but grew up in the Ottawa area. And then about 5 years ago, joined the Condors, and I've been coaching there every Saturday since. And it's definitely the highlight of my week.
Well, when we saw each other, there was just this opportunity to see this young person, coming down the ice. And of course, this is, hockey for children with special needs, coming down from one end to the other and scoring. And of course, you know me, I'm a softie, right? So of course I'm tearing up. But it was a beautiful moment. I saw you cheering them on as well. And there's just something about the capital city Condors. Would you agree?
Yeah, it's an amazing group of people, and honestly, all of us who volunteer, I think, get much more out of it than we give. But it's a group of kids who have just this unbridled joy, doing something that so many of us have loved as kids, playing hockey. This organization gives them an opportunity to play a game we've all grown to love. And I don't want to dig into what's going on in the hockey world these days, but there's an awful lot of negativity out there, and for lots of good reasons. But our Saturday Condors experience is all about happy, joyful times for these kids.
Well, I think you'd agree, Andrew. There's a lot of families in the stands there that probably never thought they would ever have the opportunity to see their child don a jersey, put on skates. I know you might remember Emmett, who was skating around, being helped a bit, and the joy on his parents' face. Honestly, it just made my whole weekend.
Yeah, and I'm in awe of the dedication and commitment that some of these parents have. I mean, for some of these kids, it is not an easy transition. It can take months to literally get them even to put on hockey gear. For some of these kids, they have, highly sensory challenges, and so getting on a helmet may be a big challenge. I'm thinking of one young guy for whom, the last few years, particularly because of COVID, and we've had to shut down and start up like every other organization, but, he had some real trouble getting onto the rink, but his mom would diligently bring him week after week, and this year he's on the ice skating with a smile on his face, and this past weekend we got a stick in his hand, and my guess is within a few weeks he's going to be scoring goals just like the one you were talking about. So, I mean, it is a beautiful thing to watch. The joy that they have is only mirrored or even exceeded by the joy the parents have, right, after all of that, after that commitment. So.
And we know Coach Courtney was telling us that there's an all-girls team now, which is exciting.
Yeah, for the first time this year, we've grouped girls who are so we have different kind of levels, I guess is the best way of describing it. We have kind of almost a learn to skate groups, a couple of those, and then we have 4 other groups that are more able to carry on games. They have kind of a training session, and then they'll have a scrimmage, or sometimes we bring in other community teams to play as what we call friendly games. And so this year there was enough girls of that level that we were able to group them all together, and they're just thrilled. They're having so much fun. We've named all of our teams after Sens who have been involved in the organization. You probably know all about Kyle Turris's involvement, Mark Borvietsky, et cetera, Matt Kartner. So those, we have Team Kartner, Team Boro, Team Turris. Well, the girls have been named Team Turris, and I don't know, I guess it's fairly obvious, they all love Kyle Turris.
Right, of course.
And they're all just thrilled to be playing together, and we're actually scouting out for some women who can, who have also been highly successful in hockey to come out and mentor them as well. So we're kind of on the prowl for some guest coaches for that as well.
Well, definitely. I hope we've inspired someone today to either, go to a game, check it out, lots of information on the website, maybe future volunteering, or maybe there's a family listening, Andrew, today, and we told them something they never thought they'd hear, that there was, hockey for kids with special needs in this community, and I hope we've inspired some people today.
Yep, Saturday from 12 to 4 at Jack Sharon Arena, or from 12 to 2 at Earl Armstrong Arena.
I know we're all
welcome to come out and.
Absolutely. I know where I'll find you on the weekend, Andrew. Thank you so much for spending time with us on City News.
Thanks so much for having me.
Thank you. Andrew Wilson joining us. Lawyer by day, volunteer on the weekend with the Capital City Condors. When we come back on Rogers TV and City News, Catherine McKenney will be here, mayoral candidate, and boy, do we have a lot to talk about. Stay with us here on City News.
Sam Laprade will be right back on City News.
101.1 FM and 1310 AM.
What are we doing about COVID? Seems like the communications have been all about how everything's opening up, and yet here in Ottawa we're experiencing our 7th wave, so a bit of a contradiction there.
October 5th, 2014, my daughter was hit by a train. She was walking along the sides of the tracks, and it shattered her world.
I mean, policing in every community is going to be challenged. The community policing model is already a harm reduction response to the way that they police. I just think that we have, again, another opportunity to use police for the things that police should be used for, and then develop some other avenues for things that we can take off a police officer's plate, because it's just not what they should be doing.
$20. Hi, I'm Maggie. Come into my kitchen. When you're using salt in a recipe, check for saltiness. Not all salts are equal. A fine grain salt is a lot more salty than a large grain salt, because that takes longer to get into the food. Bum, 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 bum. $20. $20. Join me for Season 3 of Paula Roy's Favorite Foods. Whew, that was a lot. I think I need a nap.
On the next episode of Simply Cooking by Chef, I show you how to fill your freezer with 8 different meals for the next time you're in a pinch.
Number 1 for local news, traffic, and weather for Ottawa and the Valley. This is City News 1011 everywhere.
It's Monday, October 17th. Good morning. I am Damilola Unime. Right now in Ottawa, light rain, 7 degrees. In Smiths Falls, it is 8. And here's what's making news this hour. The inquiry into the federal government's unprecedented use of the Emergencies Act to end the occupation of downtown Ottawa in the winter. We hear from local officials this week. We hear from former Police Services Board Chair, Councillor Diane Deans, Acting Deputy Chief of Police Patricia Ferguson, along with 3 OPP officials, and outgoing Mayor Jim Watson takes the stand tomorrow. Now, Ontarians aged 12 and older can start to roll up their sleeves for the Pfizer bivalent COVID-19 shot starting today. Health Canada approved the Omicron targeting vaccine for use early in the month. You can book your booster vaccine appointment via the province's COVID-19 vaccine portal or at your local pharmacy. And voting is now underway in Mississippi Mills for the municipal election. If you're eligible to vote in that part of the Valley, remember you can only cast your ballot by telephone or the internet. There is no paper ballot available in this election. Voters can cast their vote for mayor, for school board trustee and councillor 24 hours a day until Monday, October 24th at 8 p.m. City News time is 10:31. I am Damilola Unime. For news anytime, follow up online at ottawa.citynews.ca.
The Sam Laprade Show continues on City News
1011 FM and 1310 AM.
Thank you so much for tuning in to Rogers TV and City News. We're so happy that you're here. Of course, this is our new time slot. We're going to be with you every day on the Sam Laprade Show between 10 and 1. Well, we want to get right to it. We have lots to chat with Catherine McKenney. Hi, Catherine.
Hi, good morning, Sam.
Catherine, you are so busy, so I'm so grateful for this opportunity to speak today.
Always happy to.
So let's start with the Emergencies Act inquiry that you and Councillor Mathieu Fleury were part of. What is your summary of that time that you had in front of the inquiry?
Well, we began with, witness statements just over a month ago, which really, brought back for us sort of, what had happened, what our experience was throughout that time in February. Friday was, for myself and Councillor Fleury, really it was about recounting what occurred, what we were hearing from residents, how we responded to what we were hearing from residents, and, just ensuring that, that's part of the public record. People who lived through that were greatly impacted. So it was important to do. It was difficult, but it was very important to do.
And it's certainly, I think normally we're looking at councillors and you're asking the questions, right? So people asking questions of you. There was a moment there with Councillor Mathieu Fleury where he was talking about having maybe a difficulty understanding certain words in English, and you encouraged him to answer in French. Was that the right thing to do at that time, Catherine?
Absolutely. I was supporting Councillor Fleury. I've sat beside Councillor Fleury now for 8 years at a council table. I worked with him prior to that. I was staff, worked closely with Councillor Fleury, and I know this. He's exceptionally fluent in English and French, but his mother tongue is French. And at council, when Matt begins to explain something that is more nuanced, he switches to to French, as anyone would. It's what he's most comfortable with and how he's best able to express himself. So, the process, that what was happening at that moment, I actually felt was a bit of a microaggression from the lawyer who was, making a bit of, making light of Matt's, mother tongue being in French. And I did. I could see he was, it was a difficult moment for Matt, and I wanted to support him, and I encouraged him to respond in his mother tongue in French, because that is how he is most comfortable in that type of situation.
Thank you, Catherine. Of course, we know 1 week today is the big day. I think you're the last person I need to tell that to, working towards October 24th for a very long time now. Now, one of the big topics that have sort of come up in the last number of days is the police chief. And we know how much we rely on these police chiefs. I'm sure you could name them all back for the last 10, right? They play such a vital role in our community. And I think we'd all agree Interim Chief Steve Bell has done a fantastic job. One thing that I think is sort of top of mind for a lot of people is they've been looking for a new chief for a long time. Mark Sutcliffe, one of the rivals on the campaign, has indicated, go ahead and hire that police chief. And you've indicated that you think that they should wait until after the election. Why is that, Catherine?
Well, we have to go back again into the time of the occupation, and we have to think about former Chief Slowly's testimony in front of the parliamentary committee when he said that, he left because he felt that he was losing public confidence, and he worried about confidence in public safety. And as we move forward, picking a new police chief, we're going to have a new mayor. We're going to have a new board, police services board. Councillor Eli El-Shantiri will not be part of that. It's questionable, because, he's also a co-chair of Mark Sutcliffe. So, it is questionable why anyone would think that this is the time to pick that new chief. It's not about Interim Chief Bell. It's about a new mayor taking their place at the Police Services Board, picking that chief, and ensuring that we move forward in this city in a way that we build back public confidence in our police, in our city, in our council, Police Services Board. We're at a really critical time right now, and I think that to put it off for a couple of weeks really is the most prudent thing to do to ensure that everyone has confidence in the process for picking the chief.
But I think we'd agree that the police chief is not a political position, obviously, right? So do you not trust the people making that decision, or are you hoping that if you were to become mayor, they would bring you the top 3 candidates and you would have a say in that? How are you seeing that roll out?
Well, I've been clear that if I am the mayor, I will assume my seat on the Police Services Board. So I would be part of that process. And it is important right now for the mayor and a new police chief to align themselves to ensure that we're moving forward in this city and addressing community safety, community well-being. So absolutely, I would be part of that process because I would take my seat at that table at Police Services Board.
And we are 1 week away. I mean, these are the issues people are talking about. And Catherine, obviously you and I have been talking about this for 6 months, but many people in my community or in my network are just waking up to the fact that, a week from now is the election. What are you hearing as you sort of have this last kick at the can, if you will, in terms of connecting with voters? What are you hearing from them?
Well, it is, this entire campaign has happened in stages. And, when 6 months ago was very different than a month ago, and each week and almost each day is a real evolution towards October 24th. Thanksgiving weekend is always a key weekend in our municipal elections here in Ontario. You know, it's a couple weeks out, and families come together, and discussions around that table start to happen. And when Thanksgiving weekend is over, you can almost feel it at the doors that more people have made up their minds through those conversations. And, you know, this weekend when we were out, we had hundreds of people out at the doors, and the response back, I was there, the response, we're feeling that people have made up their minds for the most part. People are, have decided, but we've got a week left where, for those who are still thinking about it, or for those who, may not go out and vote, those are the folks that we really encourage, ensure that they get out and vote. The more people who go out and vote, the better the outcome is, no matter what the outcome is.
It's so interesting because, of course, we're seeing, a lot of people, backing different candidates. We know everybody is trying to come out with, the people that are supporting them. And this weekend, you've released that Catherine McKenna has come out and supported you, and Mark Carney, of course, Liberal supporters there. And a lot of the Horizon Ottawa people are connected with the NDP. So how important is that for you to get these different endorsements?
Well, certainly, Catherine McKenna was, we had conversations over the last month or so. I looked to her for her opinions, even guidance on my climate plan. I have utmost respect for the work that she's doing, continues to do around our climate emergency. So, when she made the decision to endorse me, it really made me, and the people who support me feel confident in the climate plan that I put forward, that it really will make a difference in how Ottawa is, facing up to this challenge of our climate emergency. And of course, Mark Carney, a former Governor of Bank of Canada, to have his endorsement. He's looked at both my climate plan. He's, deeply concerned about climate as well. He's looked at my financial plan, and it was after that that he offered, an endorsement. So to have that as well for both climate and for my financial plan really does offer some confidence, to voters who are still looking that we have good plans and that they're solid.
Catherine, how important has it been for you to be supported by Horizon Ottawa and sort of that group, many part of the NDP? Has that bolstered your campaign, do you think?
Horizon Ottawa is a very grassroots group. It is, hundreds of volunteers that come together and try to push more progressive ideas and accountability and openness at council. I'm not involved with Horizon, but I know many volunteers who are, have memberships in the group, other groups as well, FCA, our community associations, all of these groups who are made up of volunteers in our community, Cowie, Acorn, want what's best. And for me, it really is about listening to everyone, understanding the needs of everyone, knowing you cannot meet all of the expectations, put in front of you all the time. There have to be priorities set, but meeting with groups, understanding their needs, is really about understanding the needs of people out there in the community.
And we know, Catherine, you've had the opportunity to be part of many debates. I believe there's even one this evening. And do you regret that you couldn't get in front of the Ottawa Board of Trade and really talk just solely about economic issues in this city?
Yeah, I do. As you know, the inquiry, the date changed twice. So the amount of work going into preparing to testify at that inquiry was hours. It was, days to prepare for that. So with the, two different dates put in front of me, the preparation. But there is, I believe, a debate involving the Board of Trade this week, and I think the ODLC and United Way have come together. So there will be that opportunity. But, to have the inquiry occur for me in the last week and a half of the campaign was difficult. It meant that I could not campaign for about 2-3 days, but it was absolutely necessary that I testify in front of the commission.
Well, it's certainly going to be an interesting week. We're very excited here at City News. We live for elections, Catherine, so we're very excited about all of this, and certainly wish you all the best on the campaign trail. I know we'll speak again.
Oh, I'm sure we will.
Thanks
I look
so much.
forward to it.
Thank you, Catherine. Catherine McKenney joining us, mayoral candidate. They are running, of course, in this election, and it's coming up very quickly. October 24th is the big day. 1 week to go, everybody. You're listening to us here on City News, watching us on Rogers TV. Lock it in, everyone.
Sam Laprade will be right back on City News.
101.1 FM and 1310 AM.
You see a lot of these luxury rental apartments that are coming out, and if you're a single person, it makes it extremely challenging to afford just basic lifestyle needs.
Every year, dozens of Canadians are killed or seriously injured because they take risks around railway tracks. Talk to your loved ones about rail safety. Visit stoptracktragedies.ca.
Monday, October 24th is Municipal Election Day in Ontario, an important election to set the post-pandemic course for our community. Turn to Rogers TV for the local results, your comprehensive coverage as the votes are counted. Tune in to find out who's heading to Municipal Council. On election night, Rogers TV leads with local.
Hi, I'm Meg from AIM Fitness, and I'm here with my buddy Fit Finley. Join us every week for Fit Over 50. We'll take you through some low-impact and high-intensity workouts designed to improve your strength and your balance. All you'll need is a resistance band, some light hand weights, and also your water bottle and a sturdy chair. Tune in right here on Rogers TV and let us be part of your weekly routine.
Enjoy the fresh outdoors. Play an important role in the lives of school-age children. Get paid to make a difference in your community. Become a crossing guard. We are currently recruiting crossing guards for the school year. We offer a competitive wage with various perks and opportunities for bonuses. Join the Ottawa Safety Council in keeping kids safe in the nation's capital. Find out more at crossing-guard.ca.
My name is Joel Tamas. This is Red Heaven, and we are going to be playing the encore concert here in Ottawa. I got goosebumps just looking at the lighting and the sound, and it's very exciting to show up at a place like Shankman.
The Sam Laprade Show continues on City News.
101.1 FM and 1310 AM.
Well, certainly during the pandemic, we talked a lot about healthcare. We talked as well about, surgeries being delayed. We talked about going to the dentist. We talked about all those screenings. We haven't really focused on eye care. Well, we're going to do that today. Dr. Phil Hooper is joining us today, president of the COS. How are you, Dr. Hooper?
Very good, and thank you for having me.
It's my pleasure. So I understand there really is a focus on how Canadians are thinking about eye health, and it's something, certainly that probably wasn't top of mind for people during the pandemic. Are you seeing the results of that now, Doctor?
Yes, there were significant access barriers during the last 2 years, and people are coming out and being seen now, pathologies identified, and that has led to a backlog for surgery as well as getting in for assessment.
And I have to ask, all of the screen time, I know myself, I'm 51 and, I think the day after my 40th birthday, I couldn't read a menu, right? All of a sudden things changed with my eyes, but I find even during the pandemic being on screen so much, is it just my imagination or has that affected our eye health?
In adults, too much screen time leads to ocular fatigue. It can give you eye strain, but it will not do permanent damage. For young children, the story is different. Their eyes are still developing, and if they spend excessive amounts of time on screen, there are increasing amounts of evidence that suggest that this may lead to damage and impaired ocular development.
Do Canadians really sort of step up when it comes to their eye care, or are we not visiting doctors like yourself enough?
Well, it's interesting. For World Sight Day, the Canadian Ophthalmological Society and the Canadian Association of Optometrists conducted a survey around eye health. And it was interesting in that almost half of people indicated that they hadn't seen an eye professional in the last 2 years for an eye examination. And the reason for that was that, almost half people said that it was because they didn't think there was anything wrong. And the message that we're trying to get out is that, while that may well be the case, there are a number of very important eye diseases in which the symptoms come very late. And those diseases are macular degeneration, glaucoma, and diabetic retinopathy.
And I have to ask, what the answer is. Is there something that we all can be doing? And what is the role of the government here as well?
I think, first of all, education is important, and we're certainly trying to step up to the plate and do that. I think the government needs to play a role in terms of developing a vision health strategy that looks at eye care from the moment basically you're born to the point of end of life, because there are a number of critical periods there, and we don't do a very good job as Canadian society in making sure that access is provided at those levels. And so providing a national health strategy and a vision desk will allow research to be done to identify the gaps and to develop strategies to fill in the gaps.
Mm-hmm. So interesting. And is there certain ages that we should be going, more regularly? I'm thinking about people maybe 55 plus. Is that an annual exam, for instance?
Certainly, if you have any risk factors, if you're a smoker, if you have diabetes or other health conditions that you're unwell on a number of medications, then you should have an eye examination annually. Otherwise, probably every 2 years, certainly up to age 70 is probably good. But the key thing is to get a regular eye examination and not put it off.
Mm-hmm. And what should we be doing with our children? How often should children? My daughter, for instance, about to be 15. When should she be going?
Should be having an annual eye examination, certainly up to age 18, as the eyes are still developing through this period. And then if the eyes are otherwise well and the person is well, that can be decreased through the Middle Ages.
Mm-hmm. And what else would you want Canadians to know about our eye health? Is there something you're seeing more than regularly?
I think the big concern is that eye symptoms not be trivialized and ignored. The development, for instance, of floaters, all of a sudden, that's a concern, and people often put it off to getting older. Developing distortion in vision, again, put off to aging, difficulty reading because of areas of the print starting to become warped or not seen, again, can be put off, or people feel that it's a cataract. These things are unlikely to be related to a cataract and usually are a sign of a much more serious problem. So regular eye examinations and avoiding the trap of assuming that everything that is happening with eyes is normal, or with vision rather, is normal because you're getting older.
Well, I learned a lot from you. I think during the break I'm going to call my eye doctor. Is that a good idea?
Probably a very good idea.
Very good idea. It's been I'm thinking to myself, I think it's been 3 years for me, and Dr. Hooper's inspiring me. So thank you so much for spending time with us. Dr. Phil Hooper joining us today, president of the COS. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
It's certainly lots of great information there regarding our eyesight. James Dean, candidate in Ward 9, is going to join us in a little bit, talk about his platform. And I'm thinking about this fantastic weekend I had. So I had a fantastic Saturday. No, I have to tell you all about it.
Okay, let's hear it.
So I started my Saturday by heading out to drop off my daughter at Saunders Farm. So she's working out there. Then I took a drive all the way to beautiful Russell.
Wow.
And my family's from Russell. So I visited the old stomping grounds, if you will.
Okay.
And I was there because they dedicated a very beautiful special park to Jonathan Petra, of course.
Yes.
His beautiful mom, Tina Bullough, was there, and the mayor of Russell was there, Pierre Leroux, and lots of different, it was so sweet. He was all dressed in purple, of course, that was the purple color. He even had a little vest with butterflies on it. It was so sweet.
Such a warm man.
So it was great to see so many different leaders out there, and it was community leaders and really enjoying the park, but even better to see families out there.
Yeah, that's incredible. And I'm glad you got to check it out since we just talked about it last week. That's amazing. Did you find, was the turnout pretty big?
Oh, it was awesome. It was perfect. And there was these beautiful little butterfly cookies. And Dave Khalil was there because Dave Khalil helped raise $20,000 for the Jonathan Petrie Park. So that was amazing. So then I left Embrun, Russell area, and I decided to head through and I went to a great place called Stanley's Old Maple Farm.
Okay.
And Earl Stanley makes the best buns ever. So I stopped in to buy buns there. And you can imagine the leaves and how beautiful it was at that time of year. I mean, it was just stunning. And there was a wedding going on that day.
I was going to say, people use it as a wedding venue,
100%.
Right? Yeah, okay.
And the groom and all his groomsmen were waiting for the ceremony to start. So they were in their tuxes and they were playing Frisbee. It was awesome. And there was no one else around but me and this wedding party.
Did you join in for the game?
I should have. I chatted with them for a bit. And then I headed to Metcalfe and stopped into Holly's Corners, bought a few little trinkets there. And it was a reminder to me how beautiful this region is and how much it has to offer. And sometimes we just have to go, 20 minutes outside the core and we find these great places. So
the valley's incredible. And like you said, it's nice that it's a part of this direct kind of area, and that I think people might take for granted how much it has to offer and how close it all is. So it's great 100%. For you to share that on it.
100%. That was my Saturday. I had to tell you all about it. Of course, you're watching us on Rogers TV, and we're thrilled about that. Listening to us on City News. Lock it in, everyone.
Sam Laprade will be right back on City News.
101.1 FM and 1310 AM.
Play 4 games of bingo from the comfort of your own home each Monday at 7 p.m. for your chance to win money from our $2,000 regular bingo or $5,000 super bingo night. Kiwanis TV Bingo, Mondays at 7 p.m. on Rogers TV.
It isn't the heavy trays that make the job difficult, or the fast pace you need to keep up. It's not working another double because someone called in sick. What makes the job tough is the moment you realize a customer has had enough and you have to make that decision not to overserve. Refusing service isn't personal, it's the law. We know it's not easy, but we're counting on you to keep us all safe. Thank you, servers, for doing the tough job.
I'm Julian Armour from Music and Beyond. Join us for a new show this spring on Rogers called Music and Beyond Presents.
I'm Jim Deeks, host of Canada Files. I hope you'll join me each week for interesting and informative discussions with some of Canada's most impressive people.
CIWW 1310 AM in Ottawa.
And CJET 1011 FM in Smiths Falls and the Valley. Number one for local news, traffic, and weather for Ottawa and the Valley. This is City News 1011 everywhere.
It's Monday, October 17th. Good morning. I am Damilola Unime. Right now in Ottawa, light rain. In Smiths Falls, it is 8. And here's what's making news in Ottawa and the Valley. The outgoing mayor of Ottawa has just under a month left in office. Jim Watson's term comes to an official end on October 14th when the new mayor and council are sworn in. On Wake Up with Rob Snow this morning, Watson says he has plans, but not with employment.
Everyone who's talked to me, I said, I want to finish my term, make that a clean break on the 14th of November. Then I hope to take a few weeks off. I'd like to, if I can get my act together, to take the train across Canada. I've always wanted to do that.
With only a week left in the municipal campaign, Watson says those seeking the mayor's chair will be very busy. As for who he endorses, he tells City News he is keeping that to himself. And the decision to hire Ottawa's new chief of police could be made after the election, but one mayoral candidate says the hiring process should not be delayed. City News reporter Perushka Gopokista has more.
Mark Sutcliffe says he respects the hiring process by the Ottawa Police Services Board to select a new permanent police chief. But he tells City News he doesn't want this decision to be politicized or delayed in any way.
So there's a process here, and I think we need to avoid politicizing that process. It's very easy to say, and on the surface it sounds great to say, there's an election in another week. We should wait until after the election to choose the new police chief. But it's not City Council that makes that decision. It's the Police Services Board.
The city hasn't had a permanent police chief for about 8 months, and he adds that the responsibility to hire a new chief falls on the police board, not on City Council. Perushka Gopal-Kista, City News.
And with the weather forecast for Ottawa and the Valley, here is City News meteorologist Jill Taylor.
Well, we're in for a rather unsettled week with some periods of light rain, so you'll need the umbrella at times. A guaranteed high 11 degrees for Ottawa. Some showers tonight and 3, and tomorrow cloudy with showers and 10 degrees. For today, the guaranteed high 11.
City News time 11:02. The public inquiry into the federal government's use of the Emergencies Act to deal with the convoy protests has heard there were warnings to the city about plans to shut down Ottawa streets for weeks ahead of the demonstration. City News parliamentary reporter Cormac McSweeney has the story.
It didn't take long for surprising details to emerge in day 3 of the public inquiry. Ottawa City Manager Steve Kanellakos is testifying now and was immediately asked about internal emails. The head of the Hotel Association had warned the city that he was being contacted by an organizer that said that the protesters plan to shut down city streets and stay for at least 30 days. Then an official in the mayor's office contacted the city manager and others in another email detailing all the information that was then read out by the Commission Council.
Which is basically that they will leave their trucks in place, chain them together, and attempt to block all accesses to the city. What is our level of preparedness to respond to this? Should it go on for many weeks or months?
Canopy says the info was passed on to police, and in a meeting the next day, police told them they believe the bulk of the protesters would be gone after the weekend, and the rest by midweek. He says the city trusted the police, who have gathered information from a wide range of sources and have experience with big protests. We'll be hearing from the mayor of Ottawa tomorrow, and then city and police officials throughout the week. Cormac McSweeney, Parliament Hill.
I am Damilola Unime. For news anytime, follow up online at ottawa.citynews.ca.
The Sam Laprade Show continues on City News.
101.1 FM and 1310 AM.
Okay, 1 week, everybody. 1 week to go until that big municipal election. It seems like we have been counting down forever. Whatever your plans are, if you haven't voted yet, we know about 12% of eligible voters have cast a ballot. But if you haven't voted yet, this is your opportunity next Monday to make sure you work it into your schedule somehow. We know the candidate in Ward 9 will definitely be doing that, and that's James Dean. Hi, James.
Hi, how are you doing today?
Good. James wants to represent the ward of Knoxdale Maryville. Tell us a little bit about yourself, James.
Sure. Well, again, my name is James Dean. I grew up in this neighborhood. I went to St. Gregory's, Frank Ryan, Maryville High School. I took business at Algonquin College. I still live in the neighborhood. I live at Quality Living Housing Cooperative on Viewmount, right near Chesterton. Now, Co-op is a corporation where the people that live there are essentially the owners. We govern it together. We have seven general members meetings a year. I've been a member for 30 years, and for the last 17 years, I've been volunteering on the board of directors. We have a $1 million a year budget, and in that time, we've paid off our mortgage. We've done all kinds of infrastructure, right from roads to roofs, everything in between, debt-free and money in the bank.
So are you hoping to take this philosophy, James, to a seat at City Council?
Absolutely. Well, the Nepean motto before amalgamation was pay as you go. And that's how I've been managing the co-op for the last 17 years, and that's the fiscal responsibility I'd like to bring to City Hall.
Mm-hmm. Really interesting. What are you hearing? What are your top issues?
Well, I have 4 main issues that I'm campaigning on. I have many issues that are deep and true to my heart, but there's 4 top ones. LRT, our debt, R1 zoning, and there's a new campaign I have called Stop This Slate.
Okay. So let's talk a little bit about the LRT. I know there's lots of talk about that, obviously. Where do you stand?
Well, if you remember when the City Council was voting on Phase 2 of the LRT, Phase 1 was a complete mess. And everyone was saying, let's talk about Phase 2. Let's get some public consultation on this. And they pushed the vote through in 10 days with very little public consultation. And Phase 2 ended up just as bad as Phase 1. Well, guess what's coming in January? Phase 3. Now, the funding for the provincial and federal government will be expiring, and that's if our investigation goes okay from the province right now. But we're going to have up to 50% new council. They're going to be told, if you don't vote on Phase 3, we're going to lose the funding. Well, I'm confident the funding will be there when we need it. Common sense would lead us to a point of, let's finish Phase 1 and 2. Let's get it right and learn from our mistakes before continuing on to Phase 3. Mm-hmm. And right now they're saying that Phase 2 is going to take at least 2 more years to complete. Mm-hmm. And in 2 years from now, our transit needs may also change. A lot of people are working at home as a result of COVID. So in 2 years, we need to reevaluate the entire project just to make sure we're not making the same mistakes or wasting any money unnecessarily.
Mm-hmm. And what else is top of mind for you, James?
Our debt. So I had to go through the mayor's office to get this information. It was not easy. And I think it's not that they were intentionally keeping it from me, but nobody at City Hall has a clue what our debt is. And the mayor himself had to send an email instructing a very specific person to give me this information. So our debt in 2010 was only $700 million. It's now $3 billion.
Wow.
They've quadrupled our debt in 12 short years. We're currently spending $240 million a year to service this debt, and the debt every year is getting bigger and bigger. This is $240 million a year with low interest rates. If we keep on this path and the higher interest rates hit this debt, we're in big trouble, and it's not unreasonable to imagine that our taxes are going to skyrocket. Our property taxes are going to go through the roof if we don't get control of this debt. So I'm buying 100% anything that comes to City Hall that's going onto our debt. I'm voting no on it. But more than that, it's a voice of common sense at City Hall. There's someone that knows how to run a high budget and knows what questions to ask. And there are very few people campaigning on zero debt going forward. I'm one of the few, but it's actually making its way up to the mayoral debates now. So I'm sure the few of us that are campaigning on this, it's actually getting through, and some people are actually listening.
So I'm hearing a lot from the same candidates. You can imagine, I think we're upwards about 75 candidates we've spoke to over the last number of months. We're really trying to open up the opportunity for people to share their platforms here. One that I haven't heard from anybody before is the last one you mentioned, and I want to make sure I get this right. Was it Stop the Slate?
Well, yeah, Stop the Slate is another, connected to Stop the Slate is the R1 zoning, and I'll go through that very quickly. Now, Catherine McKenney is campaigning on removing R1 zoning from our entire city. And R1 zoning is what's protecting our single-family homes. And in Ward 9, we have many, many, many neighborhoods that are single-family homes. It's very beautiful neighborhoods. And the neighbors currently are having problems with builders coming in and putting two houses on one lot where they shouldn't be. So this is with the zoning in place. Now, if we remove that zoning, it's going to be free for all the builders. I propose that the city gets very strict with its zoning and have a short and long-term plan on how we're going to do intensification, and we'll let the builders know rather than them just doing this makeshift kind of development projects all around our neighborhood. The next point, Stop the Slate. It's a campaign that I've started. The longer that we've been campaigning, the more and more information is coming to light on this. So nobody was doing anything about it. I was waiting for the elections board to do something about it. Didn't hear anything. I was saying, well, maybe some mayoral candidates will do something about it. A few of them have mentioned it, have brought it up, but very few are taking a strong stance against it. So this is the last thing I wanted to do. I have a campaign to run. I'm trying to get my message out there, but someone has to take on this message. And what a slate is, first and foremost, it's a group of candidates that run in a multi-seat or multi-position elections on a common platform. The common platform may be because of candidates are all members of a political party, have the same similar politics, or other reasons. So that's the definition I pulled out for that. Now, there's an organization called Horizon Ottawa, and one of the board members is Sam Hirsch. He seems to be the focal point on the city election. Sam Hirsch is deeply entrenched in he's done a lot of work in the past for the NDP government, and he has also worked for Catherine McKenney. So now Horizon Ottawa has recruited 11 candidates, including Catherine McKenney, and in my ward, Sean Devine. Sean Devine is a two-time NDP candidate that ran. Now, everyone who's been recruited is involved with the NDP government in some way. Right on the Horizon website, they're making a statement that they want to support them. They want to ensure that both the candidates and their teams have the training and the resources needed to pull off a win.
So this is one of those, as I understand Horizon Ottawa, one of the third-party advertisers. So this is allowed to be a third-party advertiser, but are you saying that you feel that they're pushing the limits? Is that what I'm getting?
I don't know the definition of third-party advertiser. I know that there's very little advertising going on. They are out knocking on doors. On their websites. Well, first, let's just get past the endorsement. They're using the word endorsement. I'm using the word recruitment. Their process to find their candidates, one is they have the candidate fill out an online application. So the candidate themselves had to apply for this honor of being part of this organization. Next, they had to fill in a survey. And third, they had to go in person for an interview. So this is more than just a simple endorsement of somebody. This is a very deeply organized, planned, and structured statement that are making it very clear on their website. They're doing everything in their power to have these people elected. Now, if you go on their endorsements, there are buttons on that endorsement saying donate to so-and-so, volunteer with so-and-so. So they are actively involved raising donations for these people. So they're going beyond that. Now, the fact that so many of them are involved with the NDP government, I thought I'd start researching that a little bit. And coincidentally, as I was out knocking on doors, I saw Joel Harden, the NDP MPP from downtown Ottawa, out knocking on doors with Sean Devine. It's like, oh, that's interesting. I saw on Twitter, Chandra Pasma is saying that she's out knocking on doors for Sean Devine and for Lane Johnson. Like, well, they're very involved. Let me keep looking into this. Well, on the NDP website for Joel Harden, there's a page that says Joel Harden's brainstorm extravaganza for Catherine McKenna. Okay, so he's putting on events for her. Oh, that's interesting. On his website, where he's endorsing 5 or 6 in one statement, he's saying this is a once-in-a-generation chance to push our city in an exciting direction. So on the NDP MPP's website for the NDP government, they're actually endorsing people. Now, the most shocking came to me when I saw on his website he had an endorsement for Ariel Troster, and there are buttons on the NDP website saying, make a donation. There's a button there. There's another button that says, take a sign. There's another button saying, volunteer. Mm-hmm. So they are now, no matter how people vote, provincially or federally, almost everyone I'm speaking to is in agreement that they have no business getting their hands involved in city politics.
Really interesting. I'm so sorry, James. We have to wrap up our time, but you've certainly given me lots to think about. Really appreciate all the great information today in regards to your platform and wish you all the best on the campaign trail.
Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
Thank you
Have
so
a great
much.
Day.
James Dean joining us, candidate for Ward 9, the election. Just 1 week to go. Lock it in to City News.
Sam Laprade will be right back on City News.
101.1 FM and 1310 AM.
My name is Joel Tamas. This is Red Heaven, and we are going to be playing the encore concert here in Ottawa. I got goosebumps just looking at the lighting and the sound, and it's very exciting to show up at a place like Shankman.
What are we doing about COVID? Seems like the communications have been all about how everything's opening up, and yet here in Ottawa we're experiencing our 7th wave, so a bit of a contradiction there.
Fires raged along the Saguenay River for more than 150 kilometers, destroying land and lives. One family survived by dousing themselves all night against the searing heat. One family, among the thousands whose resourcefulness and courage shaped the character of this land.
Monday, October 24th is Municipal Election Day in Ontario, an important election to set the post-pandemic course for our community. Turn to Rogers TV for the local results, your comprehensive coverage as the votes are counted. Tune in to find out who's heading to Municipal Council. On election night, Rogers TV leads with local.
October 5th, 2014, my daughter was hit by a train. She was walking along the sides of the tracks, and it shattered her world.
Join me for Season 3 of Paula Roy's Favorite Foods. Whew, that was a lot. I think I need a nap.
The Sam Laprade Show continues on City News.
101.1 FM and 1310 AM.
Well, thank you so much for spending time with us here on City News. It's an anniversary today. Any clue what we're celebrating today? Well, some people are celebrating it more than others, but 4 years ago today, pot became legal in this country. We want to spend some time today with the one and only Bruce Linton. Hi, Bruce.
Hello, Sam. How are you?
Good. Former Canopy CEO, and boy, oh boy, how times have changed in 4 years. Bruce, what are you seeing from your perspective?
Well, I guess maybe I'll look through Canada to see where we influence the world. And so, like, Germany has made it clear that before this year's out, they're going to release a clear method by which they're going to regulate adult access recreationally to cannabis in Germany, and it'll probably happen over the following 12 months.
Interesting.
That I think pulls a ton of reference and credibility from how Canada did it, because we made an okay start, right? There was always hiccups with things like people were saying there's too few stores. Well, I think now people might be saying there's too many.
Right.
But figuring out how to produce it, how to present it, how to price it, we're still struggling in Canada with how to tax it. About half of the total value of a transaction ends up going to various levels of government, which isn't necessarily a reasonable amount. But, it's been interesting how we've influenced the world.
Mm-hmm, definitely. I never thought about it like that, Bruce. And, you touched on a couple of things there. It seems like every strip mall has at least one cannabis store, and every community seems to have their share. Is that a good thing, Bruce?
Well, I would say that it's probably not a good thing if you were the guy with the sketchy apartment that used to sell a lot of weed, because you sell a lot less. So what I think is happening is people are buying, and our country's interesting, right? Like, if you go across the border into Quebec, they have a totally opposite system, which is principally the provincial government and an equivalent of a SAQ or liquor store selling cannabis, and those it's not very, very available. But if you go to sort of somewhere like, say, Saskatchewan, they have e-commerce and delivery. Mm-hmm. And so we're still experimenting in our country. I think what you're going to find is places like Ontario, they're going to let the market decide. I suspect if you took a picture of all the places that exist today, a third of them will exist in a year. But that's just evolution.
Mm-hmm. And it's so interesting. I heard that Toronto, there's going to be three or four cannabis stores that are going to offer home delivery. And I think you referenced that also being in Saskatchewan. Do you think that'll come to the capital?
I think it will, probably. Any place where there's actually density of people so they can make money. Like, if you said what's one of the biggest not reported on businesses in New York City, it's the bike courier delivery of illegally provided cannabis. And so as they're trying to bring New York State into a legal framework, even though it's federally illegal for recreation, one of the key things they're looking at is how do they use state-supported delivery to cut the illicit market, because that's a big part of the process in that state, for example.
So of every 10 people accessing cannabis, how many are doing it legally in your mind, and how many are doing it illegally still?
Yeah, well, it depends. If a third of those 10 people were buying it from the guy they know 10 years ago, probably a chunk of them are somewhat still doing that. If what they were doing was on the sidelines until the regulations came into place, all of them are going to the legal stores, because why would you go buy something for approximately the same price where you don't know really what's in it. Has it been sprayed with chemicals? You have no clue. Was it shipped across the country in a bag, or there were other things that may or may not have included fentanyl, who knows what. Like, it's just old habits die hard, but as people begin to look at this as a replacement or option instead of beside alcohol, I think they're almost exclusively buying it through the legal sources.
Well, although we're celebrating the 4-year anniversary today, it really has, I've noticed over the last couple of years, and maybe it's the pandemic or I don't know, but I find, like, I'm 51 years old, I'm a mom, I find in my network more people are saying, hey, have you tried this, if you can't sleep at night, or have you tried, this for pain, or whatever it is, and those conversations weren't happening, Bruce, ever before.
Well, they weren't, and the conversation that's still not happening is this past summer you could actually go to concerts again, outdoor venues, and if you went to any of them, what they were selling was basically alcohol, and so there's still no place where you can actually go. Why couldn't they have a concert series where it is cannabis beverages only? Why is it that every bar can sell alcohol poured into a glass with ice, but there's nowhere you can go to socially convene and have cannabis? And so I think the next big wave that we're going to see over the next 12 months, particularly like the next summer, will be a number of the provinces say, you know what, this event is a cannabis license, and it's not people smoking joints, it's beverages. And the reason that will matter is that will become a sampling platform. Because to try something, you usually have to be taken out of your normal pattern, which involves your car, your fridge, and your house.
Right. True.
If you take people out of that normal pattern and they try something, what they might realize and enjoy is not being hungover, not drinking alcohol, which is a depressant, and trying this. So I think we're still going to be an experimenting country, and we should embrace that. I'm not telling everybody they have to try it, but we should try to say, why is the door not open to these things yet, and why is it that alcohol gets to do everything?
Mm-hmm. Go back to your high school years. Could you ever imagine having this conversation on radio?
No, it's things have really, really accelerated. Mm-hmm. And it's still one of those topics that, I'm not particularly active in the sector in Canada. I have one company out of Nova Scotia that I've been helping quite a lot, Renova, but I am helping them because I think there's brands and opportunities like Ritual is a small area, but this whole idea that Canada is the most thought-leading country on regulation of cannabis still shocks me. We're not, that crazy, wacky, let's try anything kind of culture. Mm-hmm. And so I give applause to, and it's both parties, right? Mr. Harper made it so that the medical system had a reliable supply. If Mr. Harper hadn't made it so the reliable supply could occur, regulated cannabis producers, Mr. Trudeau could not have had a party because there would have been no infrastructure to produce high volumes of cannabis. And so, I continue to look at, are there any things that both sides can agree on? And last week, or maybe a week before that, Mr. Biden in America said, I am going to provide federal pardons to anyone who has cannabis arrest records. And you know what you heard from the Republicans? Zero negativity. They didn't say that's a bad idea. Mm-hmm. And I find it interesting because a vast majority of Canadians and Americans and most people in Europe would like to see cannabis regulated and provided rather than folks in the back of a cruiser with their life potentially damaged. And so it might be one of the few things in America that Republicans and Democrats can actually agree on.
Really interesting, Bruce. Honestly, I could probably chat with you for another hour. Unfortunately, I have to let you go, but this has been always a great opportunity to get caught up with you, Bruce, and you certainly have been a leader in the sector, and appreciate your time always.
Okay, thank you.
Bruce Linton joining us, obviously from former Canopy CEO. We appreciate his time today. It is that anniversary 4 years ago today. Pot became legal, and on this day 4 years ago, I found myself in Amsterdam. So the irony was just too much for me. When we come back, Jeff Hunt is going to be here. We're going to talk about a big win this weekend. Lock it in to Rogers TV and City News.
Sam Laprade will be right back on City News.
101.1 FM and 1310 AM.
On the next episode of Simply Cooking by Chef, I show you how to fill your freezer with 8 different meals for the next time you're in a pinch.
see a lot of these luxury rental apartments that are coming out, and if you're a single person, it makes it extremely challenging to afford just basic lifestyle needs.
When an impaired driver killed my brother DJ, some people used the A word. They called it an accident, but it wasn't. An accident implies that no one was at fault. But when someone impaired by alcohol and/or drugs chooses to drive, they're fully responsible for the crash that can result. So please, for the memory of my brother DJ and the thousands of families whose lives have been shattered by impaired drivers, let's drop the A word.
A crash caused by impaired driving is not an accident.
Once upon a time, in a nursery rhyme, there were 3 bears. 1, 2, 3 bears. And they went a-walking in the cool woods a-talking.
Rogers TV invites you to let your imagination roam as we present Ottawa storytellers. Each week, we'll present a collection of original creative stories and inspirations for children of all ages. Join us for Ottawa Storytellers on Rogers TV.
Every year, dozens of Canadians are killed or seriously injured because they take risks around railway tracks. Talk to your loved ones about rail safety. Visit stoptracktragedies.ca.
Number 1 for local news, traffic, and weather for Ottawa and the Valley. This is City News 1011 everywhere.
It's Monday, October 17th. Good morning. I am Damilola Unime. Right now in Ottawa, light rain, 7 degrees. In Smiths Falls, it is 8. And here's what's making news this hour. With only a week until the municipal election, the outgoing mayor, Jim Watson, says he has some advice for the candidates on how they should spend the next couple of days. Watson says they should remain on message this week and spend as much time as they can knocking on doors and connecting with locals. Watson says this is the most effective way of soliciting support from voters. He tells City News whoever wins the election next Monday will have to address local issues, but also the English and French population, the rural and urban divide, as well as the federal government. And after Election Day on October 24 comes a decision on who will be at the helm of affairs of the Ottawa Police. While candidate Catherine McKenney and Bob Shorey both say the decision to hire the next police chief should wait until after a new mayor and council has been elected, candidate Mark Sutcliffe says the decision should not be delayed any further. He says the decision to hire the chief doesn't rest at the feet of City Council, but rather at the Ottawa Police Services Board. I am Damilola Unime. For news anytime, follow up online at ottawa.citynews.ca.
The Sam Laprade Show continues on City News
1011 FM and 1310 AM.
Thank you so much for tuning in to the Sam Laprade Show. If you haven't noticed, things have shifted a bit, but it's all very exciting. So, you'll be waking up with Rob Snow between 6 and 9. And if you're up even earlier, you're going to have First at 5 with Andrew Boyle. So Rob will be 6 to 9, same amazing content. He's an icon, you know. He'll be giving you all that great news and speaking to guests between 6 and 9. Between 9 and 10 a.m., the callback hour is there, which is a really important hour because you get to have your say. And our host and producer, David Smith, will be joining you between 9 and 10. And then I'm joining you between 10 and 1 every day on Rogers TV and City News. And we're going to be shifting up things a little bit between 12 and 1. We're excited to tell you all about that today. But first, I wanted to spend some time with Jeff Hunt. Hi, Jeff.
Good morning, Sam.
Jeff Hunt, of course, with Athletico. Are you still on cloud 9 after the big win, Jeff?
Well, yeah. I mean, although
after you have some success in a series like soccer is very unique than what I'm used to, certainly with hockey. The first round is basically a two-game total point ordeal, and so essentially it's like we're playing a 180-minute game. And we've just finished the first half, the 90-minute game, which was in BC and Victoria on Saturday. And now we're looking forward to the other 90-minute half, where you're starting essentially already up, in our case, 2-0.
Right.
So it's like having a good lead at the half in football or soccer, I guess, maybe more appropriately. But, you still have another half to play. So, even after the game, I'd offered to the coach maybe to let the guys have a beer and celebrate, and he very much had the attitude that we haven't won anything yet. We had a good first half. We got 2 goals in a very long road trip that was, we had 4 days really 3 days to get ready for. So unexpectedly, of all of our scenarios, if you had asked me a week out, BC was the last option I would have thought would be the one we'd be actually playing. So all the rigors of a normal road trip, and then make it, whatever it is, 8,000 kilometers away or 7, or maybe I'm a little off on my geography, but it's a long trip.
It's a long trip, that's for sure. And especially the time difference, right? It does, at my age, Jeff, it makes a difference, believe me, the time difference I find now.
Well, I can relate to that. And, the players, that it doesn't seem to bother them as much, but but yeah, it's a long, and something I never really thought about in a long time, but there used to be a direct flight from Ottawa to Victoria, but sadly, that doesn't exist anymore.
No more, unfortunately. Jeff, for those that aren't familiar with Athletico, or they haven't gone to see a soccer game here in the capital, tell us a little bit about this team.
Well, I mean, it really got formed out of the vacuum that was created when the Fury ceased to operate, and this new league, the Canadian Premier League, which was really following the model that exists all over the world, where every country, certainly in Europe, the model is this way. Every country has its own domestic league, and that's the way FIFA likes it. And Canada never had a domestic league. If you had a pro team in Canada, like we had here in Ottawa, it was inevitably part of an American league. And so the CPL was sort of gaining traction. This is only its 4th season, and our 3rd season, of which 2 of them were COVID, so that we're really, in some ways, I feel like this is our 1st season. Mm-hmm. And when the Furies stopped operating, unbeknownst to me, there was a club in Madrid, Athletico Madrid, that have operations in many places in the world, that India, Mexico, China, Israel, and so they wanted a team in North America. They wanted a beachhead for their brand, which is very well known, of course, in the soccer world. I would put it in the top 10, soccer brands in the world, probably. They wanted to have a team, and because Madrid's the capital of Spain, they liked the idea that, Ottawa being the capital of Canada, that'd be a great place to put a team. But they insisted that they have a local partner that knew the market and had experience in the sports business in Ottawa. So the CPL connected them with me.
Wow.
And, I never thought I would be involved in a soccer team again, and certainly in Ottawa. And but when the opportunity came, for me, it was a chance to, we didn't see it through the first time around. And I do believe there's a home for professional soccer in Ottawa, and having that brand and that credibility and the resources of a major European club, I jumped at the opportunity, and really we started. Our press conference is February, and in March COVID hit. So we immediately went into 2 years of chaos. So again, I feel in many ways this is our first year to really figure things out, and I think we've dialed in a good formula for having a successful team on the pitch. And as everybody knows, that's a pretty key ingredient to success, in the stands and from a business perspective.
For sure, for sure. And in my mind's eye, Jeff, as you're talking, I can picture you, a photo of you, at the big Red Blacks win, obviously, a number of years ago. And then, of course, hoisting the cup as well in terms of the Ottawa 67. So you've certainly got this appetite to win, Jeff.
Well, once I got involved and started to really think about it, it's not very often you get a chance to have a trifecta in three different sports, and so that challenge certainly appeals to me. To win a major championship in three different sports in Ottawa is pretty exciting, and I think it's. Well, we're certainly a lot closer to that today than we were even this time last week. And often in soccer, when you win the regular season, that's it. There's no playoffs.
Right.
And of course, that's not how it works here for many reasons. But so now that we finished first in the regular season, it's not really fully a win for us until we win that trophy. And so we are 2 games away from completing that task, I'm hoping.
And let's talk about this weekend. How can people come out and support Athletico and show how much the home fans love it?
First of all, I have to tell you that I hope the weather people are right, because we were looking yesterday. In the next 7 days, next Sunday is the bright spot. It's supposed to be a beautiful day on Sunday. Weather is always a factor at this time of year for outdoor sporting events, as you know. And it's next Sunday. I believe it's 1 o'clock. I know we were still sort of trying to finesse the time, but I believe it's 1 o'clock. And I think if you go to TD Place or Athletico Ottawa website, if you want tickets, you'll find them easy. And we hope it'll be our best and biggest game ever. And when you have a chance to move on to the finals, it's always had we lost that game, I think we would have had a little more of a difficult time marketing. But given that we have a chance right there, we just need to take it across the finish line and host the championship game, which will be exactly a week later.
Wow. It's so exciting. And it really is amazing, being a city of 1 million people. And of course, we have those great communities around us like the Valley and Glengarry and all of that. But, being a city of 1 million people, and we're supporting, a football team, obviously an NHL team, an OHL team, and soccer, it really does say something about the capital, doesn't it?
I'm glad you said that, because, many times, Ottawa gets unfairly maligned, the city fund for God and that kind of nonsense, and especially the legacy with football, having failed twice and then, finally coming back and not only succeeding, but being in the top of the league for many years. Ottawa can be, and I believe is, at its core, a great sports city. But I used to say, people don't just naturally like restaurants; they like good restaurants with good food and good service, a good product. Mm-hmm. And I think it's the same with sports. We're no different. You got to deliver a great product. You can't just rely on, hey, you've got to come out and support the team no matter what. I mean, you've got to deliver a good product, and I think Ottawa has proven over and over again that if you do that, you'll get the support of the community. And so, I think Ottawa has shown itself to be a very now diverse sports team, sports city, but also just a good sports market that is proud of their city and proud of their team.
Mm-hmm, for sure. Jeff, I have a really important question to ask you. Do you have any superstitions leading into this big game?
I you know what I learned early on, I got to leave the superstitions to the coaches and the players, because you've got to plan for things. And so I won't say I don't have any superstition in me, but I'm not a hardcore. My superstition is have a good team, have a good coach, and maybe get a little luck, and you'll be fine.
Absolutely. And great fans in the stands. That's a big one, right, Jeff?
Oh, the fans are, I was going to talk about the road game, quickly. The fans there in Pacific are fantastic, and they are a little bit they are your 12th player. You know, it's true. They make that difference. That's why it's so hard to win on the road often. And at home is so for our team to come home with the support of our fans and the atmosphere that those supporters create, which is so unique to soccer. It really is a lift for our players to come in, having the success on the road and now a chance to put it away at home. It doesn't get any better than this. If you're a sports fan, these are the kind of games you pray for.
Absolutely. Well, I'm sending positive vibes to Athletico, to all of you, and hoping we're talking next week with a big W.
I hope so. Look forward to it.
Always a pleasure. Jeff Hunt joining us, representing Athletico, talking about that big game which is happening Sunday. I think Jeff said a 1 o'clock start. It's a great family entertainment, really reasonable in terms of cost. And once again, we want to be that 12th man on the field. So we want to make sure we're out there in big numbers. When we come back, we're going to spend some time with Glenn Sheen and Sonya Shorey. We're going to be talking about a new initiative that they're undertaking. As you know, our show has changed here a little bit. We're so excited. We're on Rogers TV. Thanks so much for watching us on Rogers TV and on City News. Our lunchtime is, we've got a little bit of a twist to it. So you want to stay with us on Rogers TV and City News.
Sam Laprade will be right back on City News.
101.1 FM and 1310 AM.
My name is Joel Tamas. This is Red Heaven, and we are going to be playing the encore concert here in Ottawa. I got goosebumps just looking at the lighting and the sound, and it's very exciting to show up at a place like Shankman.
Monday, October 24th is Municipal Election Day in Ontario, an important election to set the post-pandemic course for our community. Turn to Rogers TV for the local results, your comprehensive coverage as the votes are counted. Tune in to find out who's heading to Municipal Council. On election night, Rogers TV leads with local.
Putting the focus on smaller businesses and less larger sized businesses, as it's very different for people like me that are literal small business owners, where we've bootstrapped money and we don't have a lot of funding, and to be able to help us through that. There has been some help for us, but I think it would be a greater opportunity to see us thrive through the next couple of years.
$20. And Maggie, Mrs. Calabash, come into my kitchen. A quick mayonnaise, egg yolks, garlic, Dijon mustard, lemon juice, olive oil, immersion blender. Go down, come up. Voila, mayonnaise. Boom, 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 boom. $20. $20. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Sahai from The Wiggles, and this is my new book, Something in Common. Join me on an adventure as a camp counsellor, helping some amazing children make friends and share what family means to them. I wrote this book with my friends at Children's Aid Foundation of Canada to help children who might feel lonely or like they don't belong. Not everyone has the same type of family, but we all have something in common. Download Something in Common for free.
Play 4 games of bingo from the comfort of your own home each Monday at 7 p.m. for your chance to win money from our $2,000 regular bingo or $5,000 super bingo night. Kiwanis TV Bingo, Mondays at 7 p.m. on Rogers TV.
Show continues on City News.
101.1 FM and 1310 AM.
Well, hello, everyone. Thanks so much for spending time with us here on City News and on Rogers TV. We're so happy to have you here. We wanted to spend some time today with two leaders in our community, and Glenn Sheen and Sonya Shorey join me now. Hello to you both.
Hello, Sam.
Good morning. Glenn Sheen, of course, Regional Director, Community Marketing and Citizenship at RBC, and Sonya Shorey, Vice President of Strategy, Marketing and Communications for Invest Ottawa. And Glenn, you're always up to something inspiring. What's going on now?
Oh, thanks, Sam, and thanks for having us on. Well, Invest Ottawa is celebrating their 10-year anniversary and 6 years in Bayview Yards, and RBC has been a supporter of Invest Ottawa and its predecessors since the early 90s. And to celebrate that, we are going to be redecorating the RBC Foundry space at Bayview Yards with a mural competition. We're running a $20,000 mural competition.
Oh, that's fantastic. I love that kind of combination of bringing the arts into a business space. That's a great opportunity, Sonya.
It's an incredible opportunity to help bring our economic development vision to life with a dynamic mural that reflects the core values of what Invest Ottawa is all about, the incredible innovators, companies, and founders that we serve. We really want to fulfill Ottawa's vision and potential to be a globally recognized, innovative, inclusive, and future-ready city. So diversity, equity, and inclusion is certainly a very large part of the attributes that we're looking to fulfill. No greater partner than RBC, our longest-standing premier partner, to help us do that.
Amazing. Well said, Sonya. And Glenn, I'm assuming you're looking for some artists to participate?
Yeah, so there is a call out that has been published by Invest Ottawa Bayview Yards. Sonya, you're going to have to help me with the actual details about when it's open, when it closes, but we're looking for somebody to do, if you've been there, Sam, it's the front and back walls of the RBC Foundry.
Beautiful.
It's probably about a 45 by 20 space in total. It's going to be integrated. It's going to be about, like Sonya said, the core values of diversity, inclusion, about innovation, about, what does Ottawa stand for, with both of our brands of Invest Ottawa, Bayview Yards, and RBC sort of integrated into it in a really artistic way.
Wow, that sounds like an artist's dream. Give us the details, Sonya.
So the deadline to apply is October 28th, and everything can be found on our Bayview Yard site, bayviewyards.org. It's an opportunity for current, professional, aspiring, and art students to submit their concepts. You must live within 30 kilometers of Ottawa proper because, of course, we are Invest Ottawa. We really want to showcase and highlight and celebrate Ottawa-based artists as part of this new mural competition that we have launched. It details a lot of the elements that we're seeking in the particular murals, and that, of course, includes Ottawa's brand as a thriving global tech hub and a small business hub that's very collaborative, something that's truly inspirational, creates an inclusive and inviting space of belonging, captures the passion, tenacity, and heart of the founders that we serve, and honors Ottawa as the land on which we are founded as the unceded, unsurrendered territory of the Anishinaabe Algonquin Nation. And so a lot of those details are captured in the details on our website, and we are looking forward to receiving many different submissions. We'll be pulling together an adjudication committee comprised of different members of our community that reflect all of the different walks of life that we serve in our community, of course, together with RBC and members of the Invest Ottawa community. The 28th, $20,000. We're incredibly excited, and we hope to receive many submissions.
Oh, I hope you do too. And Glenn, I don't know about you, but the first time I ever walked into Invest Ottawa at the Bayview Yards, I'm thinking, how does everybody not know about this place, right? I mean, it's such a great atmosphere. You can feel the vibe the second you walk through the door. Such a funky space as well.
Oh yeah, I mean, the work that Sonya and Michael and their teams at Invest Ottawa do there is incredible. But that space, and if your listeners don't know, I mean, it's open for anybody to rent for weddings or for meetings or for community events or art shows or whatever they wanted to do. And it's a heritage building from the city of Ottawa. We call it the Foundry inside of Bayview Yards because it used to be, Sonya, it used to be a City of Ottawa heavy machinery repair place. So it's one of the few places in Ottawa that has that sort of old industrial feel to it, and they've kept the nuts and or the skeleton of the building. So it's a beautiful space just off the Sir John A. Parkway, really accessible.
And it's really the heart of our innovation and entrepreneurship hub. So the artists that's successful will have their work viewed by thousands of people that come in and out of our facility to innovate, do R&D, drive their business forward, and accelerate their success every single year. We think it's an amazing opportunity to showcase their work and to celebrate the incredible artistic industry here in Ottawa.
For sure. Beautifully said again. And Sonya, when I think about Invest Ottawa, I tend to think about entrepreneurs that have that dream on their kitchen table, and maybe they're walking into Invest Ottawa not knowing what's going to happen. And then these are the people we're talking about 5 years, 10 years from now that's changed the world.
Absolutely. We are so excited. We have 2 weeks of epic entrepreneurship coming up here in Canada's capital with Accelerate Ott, which is dedicated to women founders and funders, leading from the stage and the airwaves on November 3rd. TICON Canada taking place on the 27th and 28th. Startup Canada hosting some events for Small Business Week this week. I mean, it's incredible, the energy and the entrepreneurial momentum, and we're thrilled to be a part of it at Invest Ottawa. Really honored.
It's amazing. And, it seems like whenever I look to see who's sponsoring in this community, RBC just comes up again and again as a philanthropic partner and a strategic partner in many ways. Glenn, I know you just had the CHEO Race for Kids as well, which was a really important part of CHEO's fundraising. How was that big day?
That big day was amazing. We raised $475,000 for child and youth mental health services at CHEO, and that Kids Come First in one click, one call. And thank you for the kind words about it being, active in the community, but as part of our corporate social responsibility, being a good corporate citizen. As Sonya said, TICON's coming up. We're supporting that. We support Invest Ottawa and Accelerate OTT. And I don't know if you saw on my LinkedIn, but I mean, One Hub, the newcomer entrepreneurship space is opening up again. They're having their first open house in a few weeks. And that's so exciting about helping newcomers actually accelerate their landing in Canada, and especially their entrepreneurship dreams.
Well, that's fantastic. I really appreciate you both joining me. I have some exciting news to share with you both. Here on the Sam Laprade Show, as you know, we're going an extra hour. So we're starting at 10 a.m. We're going right through till 1. But every day we're dedicating 12:30 to 1 o'clock, and it's going to be the business lunch, focusing on all things business. And I think this community, it's really the heart of the community, Sonya.
This is incredible. I commend you because we need to tell Ottawa's business, entrepreneurship, and innovation stories to highlight and celebrate the incredible founders, funders, and all the incredible work that's happening here in Ottawa. We truly are leading the world in so many different sectors. That's an incredible accomplishment. We're excited to contribute.
Yeah, thank you so much. And, no better week to start it than Small Business Week. We're going to be having Grant Webb on from the Brew Table on, and Michelle Groulx as well from OCOBIA. So this is how we're going to kick it off, but lots of opportunities, and really appreciate the opportunity for you to spend time with us today. Glenn and Sonya, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you. Glenn Sheen joining us from RBC, and Sonya Shorey, of course, from Invest Ottawa. Such important conversations there about what's happening at that hub. And if you haven't been to that building at Bayview Yards, honestly, go for any reason, whether you're just popping in to see what it's like or there's an event there. It really is a unique building in our city. Very exciting. When we come back, it's the very first episode of Lunch with Sam. Now, what does Lunch with Sam mean? Well, it means two community leaders coming in to talk about the top 5 issues of the day. Jody Mitic is going to join us, and Alyson Fair. You want to lock it in to Rogers TV and City News.
Sam Laprade will be right back on City News.
101.1 FM and 1310 AM.
Hello, I'm Jim Deeks, host of Canada Files. I hope you'll join me each week for interesting and informative discussions with some of Canada's most impressive people.
My name is Joel Tamas. This is Red Heaven, and we are going to be playing the encore concert here in Ottawa. I got goosebumps just looking at like the lighting and the sound, and like it's very exciting to show up at a place like Shankman.
Back in, okay?
It's a new season of The New Fly Fisher on Rogers TV.
What are we doing about COVID? Seems like the communications have been all about how everything's opening up, and yet here in Ottawa we're experiencing our 7th wave, so a bit of a contradiction there.
October 5th, 2014, my daughter was hit by a train. She was walking along the sides of the tracks, and it shattered her world.
CIWW 1310 AM in Ottawa.
And CJET 1011 FM in Smiths Falls and the Valley. Number 1 for local news, traffic, and weather for Ottawa and the Valley. This is City News 1011 everywhere.
It's Monday, October 17th. Good morning. I am Damilola Unime. Right now in Ottawa and in Smiths Falls, light rain, 8 degrees. Here's what's making news in Ottawa and the Valley. The decision to hire Ottawa's new police chief could be made after the election, but one mayoral candidate says the hiring process should not be delayed. City News reporter Perushka Gopakista has the story.
The city hasn't had a permanent police chief for months, and Mark Sutcliffe says the process to hire the next chief shouldn't be delayed any further, which could happen if the decision is made after the election. He tells City News it's not up to City Council to make the decision, but on the Ottawa Police Services Board.
And the Police Services Board includes 7 people, including some who are appointed by City Council and some who are appointed by the provincial government. So there's a process here, and I think we need to avoid politicizing that process.
Sutcliffe says he respects the hiring process by the board and says if he is elected, he is open to working with the new chief, but without the mayor having influence on the decision. Perushka Gopal-Kista, City News.
City News time is 12:01. We are 1 week out from the municipal election, where all the candidates for mayor will be granted strong mayor powers. But it appears none of them want it. City News reporter Chris Curry is with the Premier, who wants to know why.
It's one vote for the mayor and one vote for all 24 councillors. So the Premier wanted to give the mayors of Ottawa and Toronto more powers to enact legislation that would assist with things like building homes. But none of the candidates for Ottawa mayor have said they would use those powers. I asked Premier Doug Ford about that today.
They should have a little more power to make things happen, and rather than have the same vote as a single councillor. So hopefully they'll be able to use it. Hopefully they'll be able to use it to build attainable and affordable homes.
The Premier says he's disappointed, but it is their choice. Strong mayor powers would overrule council if the mayor chooses to use them, but that vote can be vetoed by 2/3 of a council vote. In Canada, Chris Curry's City News.
And with the weather forecast for Ottawa and the Valley, here is City News meteorologist Jill Taylor.
Well, we're in for a rather unsettled week with some periods of light rain, so you'll need the umbrella at times. A guaranteed high 11 degrees for Ottawa. Some showers tonight and 3, and tomorrow cloudy with showers and 10 degrees. For today, the guaranteed high 11.
City News time, 12:02. Day 3 of the public inquiry into the federal government's use of the Emergencies Act brings some surprising testimony. City News parliamentary reporter Cormac McSweeney has the story.
The details are coming out in testimony from Ottawa City Manager Steve Canalacos. Right off the bat, he was shown email chains from 3 days before the trucks arrived in Ottawa, where the Hotel Association warned them that organizers had told them the crowds would be 10,000 or more. They did plan to shut down streets and wanted to stay for 30 days or more. Police were informed as well, and Canalacos says in a meeting, then Police Chief Peter Slowly assured them most protesters would be gone by the weekend, and they trusted police. When asked about these details at a separate event, Ottawa Mayor Jim Watson declined to comment.
Out of respect for the process and the judicial role that we're now in the midst of, it would be best for me to answer those questions in front of the commissioner himself.
Canalacos also says they reluctantly met with protesters during the occupation, and that meeting happened at the urging of police. He also testified that the province didn't want to get involved and help, with the Ford government telling them that this was a police matter, not a political one. Cormac McSweeney, Parliament Hill.
And starting today, you can get cannabis delivered by Uber Eats. City News business editor Mike Apple reports.
It's the first time marijuana delivery will be available through a major third-party delivery platform. Uber is teaming up with Leafly for this service. Uber Eats Canada General Manager Lola Kassim spoke to City News.
We are specifically allowing licensed cannabis retailers who are part of Leafly's network to onboard their stores to the Uber Eats digital marketplace. So anybody who's got the Uber Eats app on their phone will be able to open the app, and if they are over the age of 19, place an order.
Now, Uber had previously partnered with a retailer in the province to allow customers to order cannabis, but under that deal, consumers had to pick up the order themselves. Uber says it's partnering with Leafly to help retailers offer safe, convenient options for people in the city to purchase legal cannabis for delivery, which will help combat the illegal market and help reduce impaired driving. At the City News Business Center, I'm Mike Apple.
And I am Damilola Unime. For news anytime, follow up online at ottawa.citynews.ca.
Connecting you and your community. This is the Sam Laprade Show on City News.
101.1 FM and 1310 AM.
Thank you so much for tuning in to City News. When I was told I was going to get an extra hour, I thought, how can I use this extra hour to really connect with the community? So I've decided we're going to invite a couple of people every single day to lunch with Sam. And today we're going to welcome Jody Mitic and Alyson Fair. Hello to you both.
Hello.
Hello, Sam.
Hello. It's great to have you both here. And of course, Lunch with Sam means we're going to talk about the top 5 stories of the day and get your thoughts, all different community leaders every single day. And Jody, let's talk a little bit about the search for a new police chief. We know some candidates are indicating they want to get that chief in there before the election, and some are saying, no, we have to wait. What are your thoughts?
I was listening to a little bit about it, and I believe I could see the merits of both, but if I was a candidate, I believe that I would want a say in who my chief was going to be, especially based on what's happened since the convoy. Really, like the chief's spot, a lot of controversy around it. It eliminated a strong candidate for mayor, etc. So me coming into that situation, I feel like it would probably be a good idea to have a say on who I'm working with once I have the job.
Interesting.
It's really, it's an important position.
For sure. And we know a lot of people, Alyson, are saying, you've got to trust the police board, the Ottawa Police Board. That's why they're there to hire this position. We know that this position has been vacant for a while. We know interim Chief Steve Bell has done a great job, but this is a big time, especially a week before the election, to be debating this topic. What are your thoughts, Alyson?
Yeah, I agree. I think we should have been talking about this in August, but I hope that since this is, they started consultations with the public in July, and I like to think the board, which contains 3 city councillors who are all seeking re-election, have been continuing with the process. It just hasn't been stalled. Whether we announce who the chief is now or later, that's besides the point. I think what we need to do is just keep it moving. I agree with Jody. I think I'm in agreement with the fact that maybe we should wait this so that they can create the new board with the new councillors that come in. Maybe they will, keep the 3 that are currently on there. But at the same time, I think that the process should be continuing if they haven't already made that decision, because it is a long process and it's something that we need in the city, even though the interim chief Bell has been doing a incredible job since coming in.
For sure.
During the convoy.
For sure. That's Alyson Fair, BlueSky Strategy Group consultant with them, and former City Councillor Jody Mitic. We're a week before the election. You've been in this spot before, Jody. You know what it's like to be running a campaign. What have you thought about this election campaign so far? Let's just talk from a mayoral perspective first.
Well, it's changed. They're doing debates on CTV and stuff, and it seems a lot more exciting, and big world issues are coming to the front of the situation. Like you were just talking about the police situation. And we got two diverging views, and I see the merit of them both. But it's some of the things about this race are about who's going to do it the new way, who's going to do it the old way, and to me it's become almost a race to like we talked last time. You got to get out there and get out the vote, and I believe that the candidate that can do that. Well, sorry, I think I diverged from what I was trying to say, but it's to me the exciting part is that the voter turnout is going to be huge, right? And these two candidates, or the candidates, have brought them out, and their positions on things that are making people excited. And that's the point I was trying to make.
And that certainly is really a big issue. That really is everything, Alyson. At the end of the day, we have 12% of people have already cast their ballot. We know last time in 2018, only 42% of eligible voters even went to the polls and made the effort. I mean, I'm hoping we're going to be at least 60-65% this time, or higher is my dream, of course. But what are you thinking about this election, Alyson?
I think it's actually been quite an interesting one. We haven't had a mayoral candidate really, a mayoral race like this for a while. So it's nice to see people getting involved, people getting their voices heard. It's, as Jody said, yes, there's been lots of discussion about various things, which, right from transit to bus lanes to the police to lots of stuff on the go, because the city has, over the last few years, been quite busy when you think about politics in Ottawa. And I'm excited to see what the overall race is going to, come out as. I think it'll be a tight one right up until the end, and we really won't have a clue until the final ballots are cast or counted.
Absolutely. Rob Snow is hosting a special election night coverage on the 24th of October. I'll be here with him as well. Lots of other guests. It's going to be a very exciting night. Jody, as a former candidate and of course served on council, how would you use this week? What do you think is best for candidates at all levels to be doing in this upcoming week?
I've said it before on your show, Sam, and I'll say it again. Let's get out the vote time, and you can have your strategies and your plans and all that, but the dynamic team that really figures out how to connect with the most voters in the most ways, because the voters have changed, and they're some are on TikTok, some are on Instagram, some still use email, and you got to find them all, especially in a race this tight. I'm getting goosebumps, and it sounds corny, but big change is coming. Whoever's mayor, it's going to change. And our voting polling shows it's neck and neck, literally, between Mark and Catherine. And so the voters are excited. And you got to keep that excitement going. Don't let the fire burn down. Just keep pushing. I always tried to say to myself, no matter how much people said, you got it in the bag because this and that, we're 5 votes behind at every time, and one door knock can get you 5 votes. So get out there, find the the mayoral candidates. It's a little bit different. Find the events. Talk to the people that maybe you haven't yet. It might be worth it. You might get those, extra votes that maybe you wouldn't have otherwise. It's not the time to relax, is my point.
For sure. And we normally, obviously, at the federal level, people run and they're attached to parties. The same with the provincial level. Municipal level has typically been, sort of every man and woman for themselves, right? And Alyson, this time, we've had a third-party advertiser. We've had Horizon Ottawa. How much do you think Horizon Ottawa has influenced this particular election?
You know what? To be honest, I didn't know much about them prior to them coming into the fold. And full disclosure, they have. I've been dealing with them for a client, but I don't see them having a huge impact. They're what they've been doing hasn't been influencing what I've seen in the votes and on Twitter. I mean, I think it's largely a small group of Ottawans who are liking what they hear from them, but I don't think they're going to have a huge influence on the outcome of this race.
Thoughts? What are your thoughts, Jody?
Well, I hate to disagree with Alyson, but I think I knew Catherine before, but if I wasn't a voter, I think I would have heard her name a lot more because it kept coming up next to Horizon Ottawa, or at least that's how it seemed from my point of view. And it seemed like a lot of activists within that organization were at the point of any issues that Mark seemed to have. So, I think to dismiss them as a small group is one way to look at it, but it's just, I feel like they had a plan and they have a strategy, and I think they're implementing it very well.
Yeah, they've definitely come well prepared. That's for sure, Jody.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So that's all. I think that Catherine has benefited greatly from having them on her side.
Okay, really appreciate that. Lots to talk about. You're going to stay with me. I'm going to take a very short break here. We've got lots of different topics to have today with Lunch with Sam with Jody Mitic and, of course, Alyson Fair. Stay with us here on Rogers TV and City News.
Sam Laprade will be right back on City News.
101.1 FM and 1310 AM.
Join me for Season 3 of Paula Roy's Favorite Foods. Whew, that was a lot. I think I need a nap. On the next episode of Simply Cooking by Chef, I show you how to fill your freezer with 8 different meals for the next time you're in a pinch.
Do you worry about how much someone drinks?
Do you feel angry or depressed most of the time? Do you feel neglected or unloved?
Do you feel that if the drinker loved you, she or he would stop drinking?
If you answered yes to any of these questions, you are not alone.
Not everyone trapped by alcohol is an alcoholic.
Families and friends are suffering too. Al-Anon and Alateen can help. Call 1-866-200-0223 or visit alanon.org/help.
Send them home! Get rid of them! Gentlemen, please. And so, this organ, which I regret I cannot name because of the presence of these members of the weaker sex, who, although they are married, could not possibly endure... Get them out.
Patience, Jenny.
Patience. Get them out!
Dr. McFarland!
Mrs. Trout. There's no place for women in a medical school. Yeah. Get them out!
If you do not bring this classroom under control, I am going to repeat every word of this disgusting lecture to your charming wife.
My friend Jenny Trout was not the only woman to face this kind of thing in medical school. But she would become the first woman licensed to practice medicine in Canada.
Enjoy the fresh outdoors. Play an important role in the lives of school-age children. Get paid to make a difference in your community. Become a crossing guard. We are currently recruiting crossing guards for the school year. We offer a competitive wage with various perks and opportunities for bonuses. Join the Ottawa Safety Council in keeping kids safe in the nation's capital. Find out more at crossing-guard.ca.
You see a lot of these luxury rental apartments that are coming out, and if you're a single person, it makes it extremely challenging to afford just basic lifestyle needs.
Show continues on City News.
101.1 FM and 1310 AM.
Sundown in the Paris of the prairie, we kings of all.
Well, 5 years ago today, we lost a legend. And of course, that is Gord Downie from the Tragically Hip. And he is still missed in this country. I wanted to get the thoughts of Jody Mitic as well as Alyson Fair. Jody, when you hear even just a few bars of that song, what do you feel?
I'm not crying, you're crying.
I know.
That's how I feel. You know, it's something about those guys and that voice that makes you listen. And I saw him in concert once, and we were in the nosebleed, me and my cousin. And actually, it wasn't one of their better concerts. But you know, their music always fits. You know, they're kind of like Tom Petty that way. It doesn't matter what you hear, when it came out, it fits. And it's just perfect Canadiana.
Beautifully said. Beautifully said. I don't think I've had a road trip ever without the Wheat Kings. I don't know about you, Alyson.
Oh, so true. I actually marked Canada's 150th with a road trip across Canada.
Wow.
And at the 100th Meridian, we played the song.
Wow.
So that tells you the impact of Gord Downie and the Tragically Hip on me and my family. We've even, had people at a cottage who are American bring them back home to Massachusetts and have embraced them. And it's just hard to believe it's been 5 years since I remember driving in the car and hearing the news and going, oh my God, so much so that I was crying. And when I got to my parking lot, I had the Tragically Hip sticker on my car for the final farewell tour. And I have actually been blessed to see them 5 times.
Wow.
And I had a chance to interview them in Winnipeg. And I remember getting to my parking space and taking my lipstick out and going on the back of my windshield and putting a red heart around the Tragically Hip logo and saying, "Miss you already, Gord." And it stayed there for the longest time, and just listening to them all day when he passed away. And yeah, I get goosebumps every time I hear the Hip on the radio, and there's nothing better than sitting around the campfire and you've got a beer or a great glass of wine and you're cozied with a blanket listening to the Hip.
Absolutely. Kind of sounds like Lunch with Sam, that kind of, hip thing to do. It sounds great that you both had, the same, affection for Gord Downie as I did. We just had to bring it to your attention today that it's 5 years ago today, which is unbelievable. Hard for me to believe. Jody Mitic, of course, joining us, former city councillor, and Alyson Fair, BlueSky Strategy Group with consultant there, BlueSky Strategy Group. And we really appreciate you spending time with us here. This is a new feature we're doing every day. We want to talk about those top 5 news stories of the day. Let's talk about today is another big anniversary, of course, and that's the legalization of pod. Alyson, what are your thoughts on today?
Well, I'm happy to say I still never tried it, and I probably won't. But what the thing is, I just wish we would get our I know that's probably shocking to a lot of people, but I wish we would get a handle on the amount of cannabis retailers that are allowed within a certain area. I live in Mitic, and the amount that have popped up for the little core area is just insane. I don't see the need, and yes, the need is there, and I think legalization has been great, but do we need them every block? Do we need to see them take over stores wherever a store becomes vacant? I think there needs to be a way that the city and the province rethinks on how they give licenses and where these stores are popping up. It just blows my mind that we're seeing this many stores.
I agree.
Taking over.
Absolutely. It seems every strip mall seems to have one. Jody, what are your thoughts?
Well, I remember when we were shutting down illegal ones as quickly as they opened when I was still on council, and a local one nearby just shut down in Orleans near my house. And I think the market availability will sort itself out. The winner, like the fittest will survive, so to speak. But for me, we fought through fields of cannabis in Afghanistan, way taller than me. I'm a tall guy. They used to hide in it because our thermal sights wouldn't penetrate the product. But I think it's, personally, my troubles I've had, I believe it greatly benefited me with pain management and mental health treatment and stuff like that. And, one of the things I tell the troops, and sometimes when we're thinking about things is, cannabis legalization is something that veterans, of the Canadian Armed Forces pioneered for the Canadian public. And then, us legalizing it for the public use, I've heard that there's still a massive black market out there, of course. There's still a black market in Tylenol, tampons, and pens, right? Like, the black market's everywhere. Is inevitable, but I believe the overall social benefit of cannabis legalization has yet to be realized, and here's why. I was at Petawawa, where I spent a lot of my youth training as a soldier, a sniper, and I went to visit the troops and see how they were doing, and I was asking questions because we used to drink hard, we used to party hard after missions and stuff, and they said, no, all we do really is sit around, play video games, and smoke pot. And I tell you, I say all that just to say that I see the benefits of the product, and I believe the market will sort itself out.
Really interesting. We only have a couple minutes left, but a very exciting home opener happening tomorrow. Alyson, the Ottawa Senators come back home. Are you going to be heading to any games this year?
I'm planning on it. My girls and I love taking in Sens game. I won't be going to the home opener tomorrow. I have other commitments, but they're not getting off to a good start. That loss against the Leafs the other night was, hard. But I'm looking forward to a season that I now can recognize some names.
Right.
The last few years I've been like, who is actually playing on this team? So it's nice to see some names come in there. And Claude Giroux, that I think is going to make an impact on this team, and hopefully we can get that first win tomorrow, and then 4 more after that for the home stretch.
It certainly is exciting. How about you, Jody?
Well, I wish I'd had a chance to talk to Alyson before our chat, so I could have echoed a lot of what she said, because when I was on council, Jim Watson made me sports commissioner, and I got to know the team a little bit, but now I don't know anybody on the team at this point, and so I'm just, and you know me, guys, though, I always cheer for the home team.
Right,
so I'm always happy when an Ottawa team is on the ice or on the field.
It certainly will be a very exciting time, I think, for our city. It just feels like, there's just a fresh start to that team. I know our first couple of games didn't get off to a good start, but I think when the boys come home, I think we're gonna get kickstart this season and be in good shape for hopefully a playoff run. I've got my fingers crossed.
Me too.
I really appreciate your time today. Alyson Fair joining us from BlueSky Strategy Group, consultant, and of course, Jody Mitic, former city councillor. I'm Sam Laprade. This is Lunch with Sam, and of course, you know who this is. This is the amazing Tragically Hip. Lock it in to Rogers TV and City News.
I left your house this morning.
Sam Laprade will be right back on City News
101.1 FM and 1310 AM.
My name is Joel Tamas. This is Red Heaven, and we are going to be playing the encore concert here in Ottawa. I got goosebumps just looking at like the lighting and the sound, and like it's very exciting to show up at a place like Shankman.
I would like to see politicians and government overall, especially locals, start to support local business more, because we've had so many businesses that have shut down, and I would like to see local business grow and politicians give more, whether that's a financial contribution or some other layer of support, but something to encourage them to keep business going.
Do you have something to share? Let everyone know about your next meeting, your need for volunteers, or your fundraising event on the Rogers TV Community Billboard. Send us your words and we'll bring them to life on Rogers TV and rogerstv.com. When it's time to spread the word, go to rogerstv.com to add your announcement to the community billboard.
Play 4 games of bingo from the comfort of your own home each Monday at 7 p.m. for your chance to win money from our $2,000 regular bingo or $5,000 super bingo night. Kiwanis TV Bingo Mondays at 7 p.m. on Rogers TV.
Number 1 for local news, traffic, and weather for Ottawa and the Valley. This is City News 101.1 everywhere.
It's Monday, October 17th. Good morning. I am Damilola Unime. Right now in Ottawa, it is light rain, 8 degrees. In Smith Falls, it is 9. And here's what's making news this hour. The Emergencies Act, a public inquiry, is hearing first-hand testimony from Ottawa City Manager Steve Canelakos. The committee is hearing about the efforts he made to help peacefully resolve February's Freedom Convoy protest. Canelakos talked to some of the convoy organizers in a secret meeting in early February. And he says the decision to declare a citywide state of emergency was in consideration once officials realized the convoy would not be leaving. CUPE, the union representing educational support staff, says it will be in a legal strike position on November 3rd. They say a consulate has issues with what is known as the No Board Report, which the union requested on October 7th. The union has not indicated if it does intend to strike, and CUPE is looking for an annual salary increase of 11.7%, and the government in response has offered raises of 2% a year for workers making less than $40,000 and 1.25% for all other workers. Talks between the government and the union are ongoing with the help of a mediator. Telecoms giant Nokia says it is building a research and development hub in Canada. The company says it will create more than 300 new high-tech jobs, and the federal government is providing $40 million, while Ontario will invest $13. Nokia says the tech hub will significantly expand its capacity in 5G, cybersecurity, artificial intelligence, and machine learning. City News time is 12:31. I am Damilola Unime. For news anytime, follow up online at ottawa.citynews.ca.
The Sam Laprade Show continues on City News
101.1 FM and 1310 AM.
Thank you again for spending time with us here on City News. Welcome to the Business Lunch. Every day between 12:30 and 1, we're going to be taking a deep dive into issues facing businesses in our community. And I couldn't think of anybody I'd rather start with than Michelle Groulx from OCOBIA. Hi, Michelle.
Hi, Sam. Thank you so much for having me. And thanks for having me kick off your segments and also Small Business Week.
Exactly. We're so excited. We're going to be featuring 5 small businesses throughout the week. When we come back after the break, we're going to be speaking with Grant Webb from the Brew Table in beautiful Bell's Corner. So we'll be chatting with him. Michelle, this is obviously a very important time in our city. The last couple of years, I don't have to tell you, have been very, very challenging. Are you starting to feel hopeful about the business community?
I certainly am. You know, the majority of businesses in the city of Ottawa are rebounding, are back in their, a prosperous mode. So it is great. We are moving ahead, but of course, there is a lot of uncertainty that's still ahead, and especially now that we have a new council coming in and a new mayor.
How important is this election to the business community, Michelle?
I think it's very important for the business community. They want to make sure that they've been heard. They've gone through so much over the last 2.5 years, and they need to hear plans for resiliency. They need to hear plans for economic development and support.
Absolutely, and we know that heading into this buying period, I'll call it, around Christmas time is so important for those small businesses. Shopping locally in our communities is really the boost that some of those mom and pop shops need. So are you doing anything to kind of encourage that, Michelle?
Well, yes, we are. We do have a shop local campaign. We ask all of our business improvement areas, of course, they all participate in shop local campaigns for their neighborhoods. And of course, the small businesses in our communities, they need it the most at that time. The Christmas season is their very busy season. And then, we're looking for that support to continue even beyond as we get into what we call the tougher months of the January, February.
Definitely, those are difficult months. I always try to at least go out for dinner because my birthday's in January, so at least try to do something fun in January. This is obviously a key time as well for a lot of communities. I'm sure you've noticed as well, Michelle, have those those stores that are locked up now. There's no activity there. They've had to close, presumably maybe because of the pandemic, and so encouraging people to start these businesses. I mean, it takes a great leap of faith, but how are they supported in the city, Michelle?
It's been amazing. Despite the last 2.5 years of, the pandemic, the occupation, and obviously a huge weather storm. I'm not even going to pretend I know how to pronounce derecho. Right. Derecho. There you go. Yeah. Thank you. Despite that, we're seeing new small businesses pop up on our main streets. It's been fantastic. So, there is a lot of hope and optimism in our community.
Mm-hmm. And, I can't help but remember times that we were talking, especially early in the pandemic, we're really worried about mental health. And I know, the organizations that really took a lead saying, reach out to us. It was such an important time because a lot of businesses, small business owners, it can feel very isolating, Michelle, because you don't maybe have a team of 100 and you're, really trying to coordinate benefits and all those things. You may not have the resources that other bigger companies have.
It's very true. Small businesses are usually, they're on their own. They do take on a lot because they are, they're independent operators. They're parents. They have families as well that they're also caring for, and they're caring for the livelihoods. They're responsible for the livelihoods of their staff as well. So they do take a great burden. And, it's important to share that it's a community that's there for each other. And there needs to be more of that recognition and support of that in our community. And it was wonderful when we have come all together to discuss our mental health.
Mm-hmm. Those times were really important. For people that don't know about OCOBIA, explain exactly what your role is, Michelle.
Sure. So OCOBIA represents the 19 business improvement areas in the city of Ottawa. There are also business associations that are in the city of Ottawa. And They are the main streets in your neighborhoods that have, all sorts of different types of businesses. And, we consider them to be kind of the backbone or the spine of a neighborhood. They provide that kind of diversity, that attractiveness, the retailers and the restaurants and all sorts of services that make a neighborhood attractive. So we are that intersect that provides that space for business and residents to come together.
Mm-hmm. And how are you supporting businesses at this point? Like, are people actively reaching out to you about issues, especially around the election, for instance?
I'd say at this point in time, the greatest thing that we're doing is to ask, we can't speak one-on-one with individual candidates, mainly because we are a local board of the City of Ottawa. Mm-hmm. So we reached out to the candidates and asked them the main issue that we're trying to discover for businesses in the City of Ottawa is about resilience in the business community. So, when we're talking about everything that businesses have faced for the last 2.5 years, we are looking for how can you plan as the next mayor a way for businesses to have resiliency next time it happens. And we know, everyone knows, this is bound to happen again. We are bound to have other pandemics or issues, public health issues. We are bound to have obviously weather disasters, and hopefully we won't see an occupation. But we do know that the City of Ottawa is a hotbed of protest. So how we're looking, and so that's how we are representing our members right now in kind of communicating the issues in general that the city can look to support businesses on.
Mm-hmm. And just as you're naming all those things, Michelle, I'm thinking, resilience is definitely the word of the day, right? I mean, we know that, but when you sort of say them all, especially for people in that downtown core, I mean, Michelle, you and I spoke around that convoy time and the effects it had on, Spark Street. I think about Kevin McHale, and I think about, the people at the Byward Market. I mean, it really did impact them, and some of them are still recovering, Michelle.
They are still recovering, and in fact, I would say, when you're looking at the City of Ottawa, the suburb businesses are doing great. The outer core of Ottawa is doing great. They're on a great path of recovery. But when you're looking at Byward Market and Sparks and Bank Street to a degree, there needs to be a lot more focus, and they're not at the same place they were 2019, given everything that's happened, and that right now it's not back to the 2019 days.
Mm-hmm. It certainly isn't. And we know obviously Mayor Watson is saying goodbye after 12 years as mayor and served in a number of other times. How have you communicated with Mayor Watson? Have you reached out with him at all?
Well, oh my goodness, we had a small business week ceremony kickoff this morning, but he was at the Nokia announcement.
Right.
So I missed him today, but I did, I was there. I greatly thanked the economic development staff and of course the mayor's staff who've been strong business supporters over the past 12 years, and we hope to see that kind of support in the future.
Mm-hmm, for sure. Well, Michelle, I really appreciate your time. This is certainly an important time in our city. 1 week today. I don't need to tell you, Michelle, but we have to all get out there and vote.
We do.
And October 24th is the big day. Thanks for, having a business lunch with us today, Michelle.
Thank you so much, Sam.
Michelle Groulx joining us from OCOBIA, such an important organization, in our city, and that support local message is even more important. I was, as I mentioned earlier, driving around communities like Metcalfe and Embrun, and being in communities like Mitic even. Lots of those small shops really do depend on us, scooting our way around town. Where's your favorite place to shop, Noah? You have a favorite community?
Recently I was introduced by Alex to a local record store.
Oh, okay.
So that'll be something, I feel like record stores too have definitely gone downhill in terms of like how many visitors and traffic they're getting. Like it's such a digital industry now. So that's definitely something, and not just this particular record store, but all kind of music stores and physical music stores in general, I still think are something that I personally really like to support.
I'm going to date myself here.
Okay.
So a million years ago, I used to work for Abbey Road Records at Place d'Orleans. And it was when Place d'Orleans was really tiny. Like, not like it is today. It was completely different. There was like a drugstore across the way. So I used to work at Abbey Road Records. And then I, decided to really hit the big leagues. And I went to the Rideau Center to work for Sam the Record Man.
Whoa, Sam working with Sam.
I know. I thought that was pretty cool too. So
that's iconic.
So definitely those places have definitely changed over the years for sure. But I think about all the the shopping I need to do. As you know, I'm moving soon.
Yes, very soon.
So I am making a concerted effort to shop local, and I think that's really important. One of the stops I made on Saturday was to the One World Bazaar out in Manitic. Have you ever been there?
So last year I got to check that out with my partner. It's a wonderful place.
It is beautiful.
All the detailed craft stuff they have, all the beautiful home. I picked up last year. It was like an ornate little carving of they had a bunch of different animals, and they were so cute, and we got a bunch of fall themed one that I still hang around my apartment. Very cool spot.
Very cool spot. So it only operates about 6-7 weeks of the year. So I think they've got maybe 5 or 6 weeks left, but One World Bazaar right there in Manitic, certainly a great tradition for many families. When we come back, we're going to spend some time in Bell's Corners. We want you to come with us. Lock it in on Rogers TV and City News.
Sam Laprade will be right back on City News.
101.1 FM and 1310 AM.
Hello, I'm Jim Deeks, host of Canada Files. I hope you'll join me each week for interesting and informative discussions with some of Canada's most impressive people.
I mean, one of the major issues I think that, especially walking around in the market area, is housing. Housing security for those who are not going to be able to benefit from all of the development that we're doing. So what is the city's response? How can we use some of the properties that we do have power to control and satisfy the needs for those who are housing insecure?
He fell. Whoa, I'm not driving. I'm way too stoned. How are you feeling, Beer?
Oh, since we had that talk, I'm not driving tonight at all.
What about you, Dave?
You only had a couple of drinks.
And only a couple of puffs.
I don't drink and drive. No way I'm getting behind the wheel when I smoked weed, too.
How are we getting home, then?
Oh, you can drive, Dave.
Come on, Dave.
Take one for the team, buddy.
Don't let weed and alcohol influence your decision to drive.
Yeah, I need a ride.
Hey folks, it's me, Giovanni Patini, the host of the RTV quiz show, the hottest show on television. It's the hilarious quiz show where you, the viewers, play for valuable non-existent prizes. It's got great trivia, fun facts, and a lot of laughs, all blended together in a perfect cocktail of edutainment. So join us Wednesdays at 7:30 right here on Rogers TV. Nice.
Monday, October 24th is Municipal Election Day in Ontario, an important election to set the post-pandemic course for our community. Turn to Rogers TV for the local results, your comprehensive coverage as the votes are counted. Tune in to find out who's heading to Municipal Council. On election night, Rogers TV leads with local.
My name is Joel Tamas. This is Red Heaven, and we are going to be playing the encore concert here in Ottawa. I got goosebumps just looking at the lighting and the sound, and it's very exciting to show up at a place like Shankman.
What are we doing about COVID? Seems like the communications have been all about how everything's opening up, and yet here in Ottawa we're experiencing our 7th wave, so a bit of a contradiction there.
on City News.
101.1 FM and 1310 AM.
Well, it is Small Business Week, and we've decided here on the Sam Laprade Show during the business lunch to chat with some of these business owners, some people that have really dedicated their lives to small business. And we wanted to introduce you to Grant Webb, owner of the Brew Table in Bell's Corners. Hi, Grant.
Hey, Sam. How are you?
Good. Thanks so much for spending time with us here on City News.
Yeah, just to be clear, part owner, I do have a business partner, Dave Demers, who's a great guy, and I hope he's listening in. I hope I don't screw it up too much.
I'm sure you'll be great. I'm sure you'll be great. So we've got a co-owner there. And Grant, when you think about the Brew Table, you certainly have had, a bit of a change over the last couple of years. Talk to us about your location change in Bell's Corners.
Well, we moved. We moved a block away. We're in the same parking lot as the brand new Hyatt prototype hotel. We built a brand new building from the ground up to accommodate our new Brew Table location. The previous owner, Nick, actually was looking forward to retiring. So I've known him for 20 plus years through the industry and as a colleague and someone I really respect. So we're letting him wind his career down and spend more time with his family. And he has a grandchild on the way. And then,
nice.
So we're excited with our new location. It's great. A year in, we built it in the middle of a pandemic, as you would guess. Struggle doing that for sure.
Right.
But despite some of the curveballs being closed last January and stuff, we were a year in as of Saturday.
Well,
our year anniversary at the new location.
The place was hopping. I was there on Saturday. My daughter and I were there, and honestly, we had to wait a little bit, and that's okay, Grant. I would rather wait and see those restaurants nice and full. And when I looked around the Brew Table, I really noticed, there was families like us there. There was, groups of guys. They were heading to Iron Maiden, which was lots of fun. And then, of course, there was some tables of seniors enjoying the day. So the Brew Table just seemed to be a place, and I think that's what Bell's Corners, in many ways needed, is a place that people can gather and everybody can gather.
Yeah, we kind of serve from 2 to 92, if that makes any sense.
Mm-hmm.
And our menu is diverse and extensive, so we feel we have something that's going to appeal to everyone.
What's it like being a small business owner in a pandemic, Grant?
Well, I guess it depends what kind of business you're in, because I know, we run some other restaurant locations as well, our group, and I know certain styles of restaurants and other businesses actually flourished a lot in the last couple of years, just because their menus and concepts were more conducive to doing takeout. They could adapt their business model and succeed quite well. In fact, a couple of our other restaurants are locations of the works. And, it wasn't easy, but we came out, scathed, but not dramatically so. So we got through pretty good. And then I know some other people in the industry that did quite well. But then places like the Brew Table, that's, more of a sit-down, full-service menu. The times we could not open to the public at all, it was just very painful.
I'm sure, Grant. Are people...
hard on our people, too, not just financially for the business, but, we have 50-plus people in that restaurant working, relying on the restaurant being open, and then basically they have no job for 4 or 5 weeks at a time.
Absolutely. You know what I noticed, Grant? I noticed that when I was there, because I used to go to the Brew Table when you were at the old location, which people will remember. And
thank you for your support.
Oh, thank you so much. But one thing I noticed is that you actually have got staff that have stayed with you. I think Troy in particular, who's your manager. And I say that because I know so many businesses are so desperate for staff, and so many staff, even though they loved the business, loved the restaurant, had to find other work. How important has it been for those legacy people to stay with you?
Well, it's incredibly important. We couldn't do it without them. Our frontliners keep our restaurant together and keep it going on a daily basis. Troy's been with us 8 or 10 years. Our general manager, Dave, 17, I think. Our swing manager, Morgan, she's been with us, 14, I think. And then a host of our other crew have been with us 5 and up and over a decade, many of them. And we do have a lot of new people. As we did transition, we lost some people over the pandemic because they just had to find other work because the hours weren't there. We kept as many people employed as we could because we didn't want to lose them and have to replace them, right? So,
is it hard to compete with franchises? Maybe that there's a franchise that can have a lot more sort of buying power behind it. Is it hard to compete?
Well, again, knowing the franchise industry quite well, because I've been doing that for a lot of my restaurant career, supply chain in the restaurant industry and other industries as well has been a real challenge, especially since like in the last year, I would say. You know, you order products, they just don't arrive, so you're running to the store to buy them. The prices of products, depending on what it is, have just inflation's just taking a bite out of all of us, right? Whether you're a restaurant buying food or you're buying groceries, I'm sure that anytime you've gone to the grocery store, there's always a bit of sticker shock these days, I find. And now chains, I know a lot of restaurant owners who run chain restaurants, and they're having the same supply issues we are, and a lot of issues with pricing too, because a lot of the contracts are subjective to terms and conditions, and sometimes they don't get honored based on external factors that even our suppliers can't control.
It's so interesting. Any plans to maybe take the brew table and put it in the East End by chance and expand? We
have cautious plans. We've talked about it. We want to get another probably year under our belt with this location, assuming no other external factors affect our industry or other industries, small business especially. You know, if we had another wave of COVID or something else, it would be hard, and so cautiously, we'll expand very cautiously with this business environment because we have to. We have to be careful.
Yeah, I asked that because I think you've got a really good concept. I think it's really hard, to make people feel at home at a restaurant, if that makes sense. Like it kind of feels the way that you've set the restaurant up. It sort of feels a little bit like you're sitting in your own kitchen.
Yeah, well, it's my business partner likes to call it a sexy place because it is quite a beautiful building and beautiful build. Our designer Gord did an amazing job on the design. But we, you want it to be cozy and comfortable. But it's really what ultimately sets that stage is the atmosphere of the restaurant is one thing, but it's the people. It's the people that serve you and cook your food. They're what ultimately creates the experience that you would get there.
100%. And I know it's lunchtime, so I'm going to let you go. I'm sure the place is hopping. Grant Webb, co-owner of the Brew Table Restaurant. Keep up the great work.
Thank you so much, Sam. Pleasure
is all mine. Thank you so much, Grant. We want to provide, some of those exciting moments for you in terms of small businesses in our community. And I was saying to Grant, because there was a bunch of guys heading to Canadian Tire Place going to see Iron Maiden. They were all decked out in their Iron Maiden T-shirts, which was really cool. They obviously, they were all about maybe 50, 55 years old. They all thought they were the hippest people in the building, which was awesome. But there's lots coming to Canadian Tire Centre. And of course, that's Journey, everybody. They're coming on March 13th, 2023. Are you going to get tickets, Noah?
I'm worried about the price.
Okay.
I am, because it is their 50th anniversary tour. And they also have Toto opening with them.
Right.
So I am a little concerned that they're going to be, you know what, I'm going to see if I can find the prices for it now. I'm a little worried that it's going to be high. If they're not, then I would absolutely love to go. What about you? Are you going to go?
I would love to see them, honestly, because, well, I'm 51, as you know, and I love Journey. Alex Gouge, do you love Journey?
Oh, absolutely. How can you not love Journey?
I know.
It's like, I was just talking to Noah before the break. Have you listened to their early stuff, like pre-Steve Perry?
Yeah, because I'm really old, Alex. so I have, yes. You young whippersnappers in there. I'm 51,
51 years young.
It's very prog rock, kind of, like almost like Yes or Santana. Well, the guitarist, Neil, I don't know how to pronounce his last name, so I'm not going to butcher it here. He was in Santana before joining Journey, and then that kind of sped on anything. And paired with Toto, what a great show.
Absolutely. So many great concerts coming. Bare Naked Ladies are coming to the NAC. We know Michael Bublé was just here. Iron Maiden, as we mentioned. Lots of great concerts. Really, Ottawa is becoming, a bit of a hub. I would have loved Elton John to stop here. He didn't stop here. We had to go all the way to Syracuse to see him. But lots of concerts coming to the CTC.
So the cheapest tickets I'm seeing for this Journey concert here in Ottawa are around, you can get one for around $177. The seats aren't the best.
Wow.
Now, if you want to go a little closer to the stage, you're looking at roughly $350 up.
Wow.
Yeah. So not as bad as when we looked at the Eagles.
Right. Right.
But still a fair price. I think $170 is good enough that I could be like, I could go to that.
Right. It is certainly concerts have changed so much in terms of pricing, and we'll certainly be watching very closely to see who else is coming to the capital. We have had so much fun with you today here on Rogers TV and City News. And you know what they say? They say, don't stop believing. Lock it in to City News.
You've been listening to the Sam Laprade Show.
Tune in again for local news and community views on City News.
101.1 FM and 1310 AM.